Hello, everybody. While we're waiting for the panel to get here, just wanted to say hello. Tonight's episode is about the final. We finally have our finalists, and I feel a type of way about the two teams that have reached the final. Obviously, things are starting to get stacked up against or in favor of one team that already has back-to-back titles. They're going for the three-peat. How the fuck did they get here? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Hopefully some Americanistas show up. They've been quietly hiding in the shadows. But now that they're in the final, hopefully they come out the closet. Should be a good one tonight. There's also some rumors with players joining or leaving, coaches joining or leaving. Should be a good one. So stay tuned. Yo, yo, yo. What's up, what?
What's up, Jaime? Are these your jam?
Oh, sorry. I accidentally muted everybody. No, I was just putting some music on while we wait for people to show up. I fuck with Freddie Gibbs, underrated rapper. A lot of people don't even know who he is.
All right, it sounded cool. I was like, but I remember last time you said it was X music.
XXX
It's good.
Tentacion. Yeah, I'm all over the place, bro.
I
But
see Riff Raff is here.
Riff Raff.
Hey, good evening. Good
I,
evening, everyone.
Hello,
I
hello.
cannot. I hope you don't mind. I'm not saying it
I love
you
it, if
know.
anything, man.
Yeah, I don't mean it in a messed up way.
Nah, dude.
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
not a bitch like Abdias who can't join the podcast just because his team lost. Calling his ass out.
Oh man, Elias. Shook it. You must be shook it. Man, that was quite the roller coaster, dude. I can only imagine as a fan of the team that, going through all those motions, dude. It's like
I
a,
bet, dude.
it's
I
like a
bet. Oh,
relationship with La Toxica.
oh shit.
So
Hold on. Let me get this going because he's here.
he's here, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 444. We're going to capture Abdias' tears in 4K tonight. I hope you guys are buckled in and ready to go. The Cruz Estudiada was inevitable. And we're going to be talking about that tonight and how America is on the verge of three-peating against Rajados. We're live on Twitter Spaces, live on YouTube. Grab a drink. Let's get going. Want to welcome Joel to the show. Joel, how we doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. We're really excited for this final. Uh, Sometimes you enjoy these games more when you're not a fan of either team. That's
Absolutely.
not copium. It's just win or lose, whatever. It just doesn't. But as a chilla hermano, my money, my hopes are on the Rayados. So I'm hoping they pull through and they can. So I saw one of the tweets: rescue football. I see rescue football. Although I think the league doesn't need much rescuing seeing those two teams in the final. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be a should make for a good thrilling final.
Absolutely. Chivas fans, grab your jersey and paint the stripes from red to blue. We're all Monterrey this weekend. Joining us, Rifalo. How we doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. I just want to go ahead and agree with Joel. Like as a maybe not so neutral, viewer. I've had an absolute blast this Liguilla. It was just probably one of the best semifinal or games I've seen in Mexican football in a very long time. Ups and downs. I feel bad for all the Cruz Azul fans. Like some people out on the panel muted right now because they were very close to making history and beating getting that monkey off their back, but it wasn't to be. But I thoroughly enjoyed this bout, and I'm looking forward to the final. Great stuff.
All right. I had to wait for Abdias to join us. Called him a bitch in the chat because he says he wasn't going to join, but he showed face. Abdias, welcome to the show.
Buenas, buenas, putos. Pues miren, antes que nada, I was just having a couple technical issues. In fact, I believe I might still be having a few of those technical issues.
Yeah.
Pero quiero que sepan que no soy puto, no me escondo, aquí estoy, doy mi palabra. No soy como las pinches huilas que al último momento se aparecen, que se hacen llamar grandes y quién sabe qué pedo. Pero no hay pedo, hay más que suficientes putazos para esta noche. Aquí estamos.
All right, Abdias, good sportsman. And finally, we have some Americanistas joining us tonight. Ron, can you hear us? Is your mic working?
Yep. How you guys doing?
Ron, you've been winning too much, man. Are you tired
It
of
is.
winning?
Yes, I am. Too much winning. It's not enough. It's not fun. I mean, another tale of Cuck Azul. That's what I call them now.
Ooh, Cuck
So it's
Azul.
oh my
Is that
god.
what we're going for? Es lo que estamos haciendo cuando hay un chingo de ayudas arbitrales.
Wait a minute. I'm just gonna say this. Okay. Basically, America, they're orphaned. They have no boss. They're homeless. They don't have a home, and yet they're in the finals.
Oh.
Not to mention, they've been a fucking hospital as well. They haven't had their players can't keep fucking healthy, and yet they're in the finals. And but like I said, and I've said this. I haven't said this in a while, but that's what makes it. The grandes, the big teams. When they're off, they're still on. When they're wrong, they're still right. You know. So
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck America got here. They came into the play-in limping. Like they were not a team that was going to be a favorite or considered for the title, and yet here they are going for their three-peat.
I'm still upset at you guys for not explaining how that whole playing stuff works, because since this was America's first time, I didn't know how the system worked, and I kept asking you guys, but no, but you guys didn't want to help me. But but I forgive you guys, right? It's bridge under the water, But it's going to be tough. Final's going to be tough. But I will say this: the only advantage that I see that America has had is that, and I've said this shit for the last 20 plus years, that somehow America tends to play at least better on the road, because it used to be when teams would go play at the Azteca, they would basically try to play just the counter or so sometimes park the bus. Now it's not so much as prevalent as it was 20 plus years ago or even 15 plus years ago, right? But I've always felt more comfortable America playing on the road, because the home team is kind of forced to open up and to attack. And I've always thought that America always plays better when the opposition is not closed down and they're willing to play. So
Ron, I honestly think it's more than that. Honestly, I think America's biggest strength is the goddamn arrogance and the entitlement and that mindset of like, of course we're gonna win, like of course. And then they love being the bad guy, and they love when the excuses come out when they end up winning.
You beat me to my point, Jaime.
It's just that fucking attitude, bro, and it fucking works, and it works, and here we are on the cusp of a three-peat when you guys had no business. The way this season panned out, you guys had no business getting a three-peat, and you guys are about what 90 or 180 minutes away from that happening.
Yeah, they were running on fumes.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, and I said this a couple of weeks back. I said it a couple of weeks back when Diaz asked me about was panicking. I said no, because I've seen this happen with just with America, but other teams like with Cruz Azul, with Chivas, when they were they had constant success, and obviously when you have more success, you have more players playing for their national teams and stuff like that. So you start to see that wear and tear, and you start seeing more players on the injury list and stuff like that. So I knew that was going to happen eventually. Obviously, you have America players. You have a lot of the national team players, both for Mexico and also for the other foreign teams. So it was going to be a balancing act, and I knew that was the case. I also think that, for example, like when Cruz Azul, going back to the game with the Cruz Azul, the 4-0, the 4-1, and then honestly, I think that game, America technically played better, but they screwed it up in the last 20, 30 minutes, right? So the score line was kind of misleading. There's only really one game that America's just got their asses handed to, and that was against Toluca. I mean, America couldn't do anything, and I think that ass whipping came at the right time, because it kind of woke them up. and I started to see that they were starting to basically play not as flamboyant maybe as in the season before or whatever, but they were just being practical. And I'm a big fan of just playing practical football. You attack when you need to attack, you defend when you need to defend it, and you basically counter when you need to counter. And I think, as the season ended, I think America was finding themselves in those positions where they were, playing balanced football, balanced soccer, and I'm a big fan of that. Well, I don't, I wouldn't say that America is the favorites going into the final. Obviously, because of the league standings and stuff like that, and obviously, Monterrey obviously was going to have a home field advantage. Their players are healthier and stuff like that, but anything can happen in 2 games, And
Yeah. Abdias, take us through your emotions throughout this match, because I'll be honest, as a neutral, selfishly, I enjoyed every single drop of that match, and I didn't really know which way it was gonna go, and it really felt like you guys were gonna pull it off, and then the rug just got pulled under you. But take us through it.
Well, one of the big things to remember here is there was 2 legs to the entire thing, right? So, all right, on the first leg, Cruz Azul was the most pressing team, right? Cruz Azul was the one generating all of the danger. Cruz Azul was doing what they had to do in the first leg, except generate a goal. That is where just it wasn't happening. There was issues. It wasn't working out. A key moment that happens in that game, porque Cruz Azul está apedreando el pinche rancho, cabrones. Les está partiendo la madre y les está metiendo el dedo por el culo, ¿verdad? Ahora, lo que termina pasando es como al minuto 58, 60, por ahí, Jardiné, no me acuerdo a qué pendejo saca, pero mete al pinche desgastador. Y mete al desgastador como un falso 9. A partirle la madre al Cruz Azul en la salida de la portería, ¿verdad? They start cutting those passing lanes. They start putting in that high press. That, you know what, and I hate to say it right now, but Henry does that extremely fucking well. That's why I call him El Desgastador. He's just a big body that's there in the center that's going to block the pass. He does a great job playing a defensive false 9. He's going to give you that high press. He's going to give you the high that movement off the ball that you want up there, and he's going to do that. And that's exactly what he did. He came into the away match and just fucking shut down that lane. As soon as that happened, I was watching the game with my sister-in-law, and she was the one who pointed out. She was like, finally, they're doing something fucking different. Look, he came in, and this is what he's doing. And I saw it, and I was like, holy fuck. That's exactly why Cruz Azul can no longer generate. Because if we look at the match in the first leg, in the second half, Cruz Azul just fucking died off. Like the team wasn't functioning, and it was because of that tactical change that Jardinet made. So that's the first one that we have to look at. That's, to me, as a Cruz Azul fan, as someone who has seen the way this team plays and what it is that gives us strong opposition, me dio temor, güey. Porque I said it before, Atleti did a great job with it. They found a way to do that high press, and then a lot of teams started copying it. America finally got the fucking memo and realized how to do it, and they started implementing it. Then we go into the home match, right? The one that really counts, the one for all the fucking beans, right? And once we're there, same thing. Jardinet continues that same tactical idea that he had before. He continues the high press. He's going through. The first goal goes in, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck me. It's still a game. The second goal goes in, man. And here's the deal. You have to recognize the fucking beauty that is that goal. Kevin Mier is way the fuck out of his box because that's the way Cruz Azul has been playing. That's the way a sweeper keeper plays. And then out from the wings, man, un pinche sombrerito, güey, de pinche medio campo al puto ángulo. Güey, no mames, no soy americanista, no soy joto, no soy pendejo, pero soy futbolero, güey. Entonces miro el fútbol y miro una pinche jugada así, de que, güey, no mames, sácate la reata y te la mido, güey, porque neta, eres una pinche verga. Metiste un puto golazo que me encantó. So, ahí estamos. Y pues, ok, a ver qué. ¡Pum! Pinche pepinazo del Cruz Azul. Ok, 1-2. No hay pedo, güey. Los fantasmas ahí están, pero no hay pedo. Ok, luego, puta madre, 3-1. Ay, güey, ok, pues a ver cómo se pone esta y te juro, güey, los pinches fantasmas y las voces que me dicen, mi rey, te apuesto que no te matas hoy. Empiezan a decirme, aquí estás, güey, ven para acá, de aquí eres. Y ahí estoy, güey, ¿verdad? Poniéndome pedo y diciendo, no, güey, no, ¿verdad? Esta bala se ve bien bonita, pero hoy no. Hoy gana el pinche Cruz Azul. Y ahí estamos. Y 2. Chingón, güey, a pinche huevo. 3-3. No, güey. Ok, mi vieja se salvó la putiza que le iba a meter esta noche. Ok, pues ahí estamos. Ahí estamos, no hay pedo, el pinche juego está con madre, está bueno. Y luego, antes que nada, güey, antes de que diga lo que pasó, la tragedia del fin, todo eso, una cosa que quiero mencionar que neta, güey, me estaba rompiendo los pinches huevos todo el puto partido, fue que los pinches jugadores de Cruz Azul empezaron a hacer algo que no habían hecho todo el puto año. ¿Y sabes qué fue, güey? Se empezaron a quejar. Se empezaron a quejar y pedir fouls. A vez de levantarse y romperse la madre, se empezaron a quejar como unos pinches putos, ¿verdad? Y neta, güey, cuando vi ese pinche Cruz Azul volver, dije, no, güey, ya valió madre. Ya valió madre. Cuando estamos empezando a pedir faltas pendejeras, que no te levantas y vas y le metes un putazo al vato, ahí es donde se acabó el juego. Y neta, güey, ahí, en ese momento, fue cuando vi la pistola. Dije, güey, a lo mejor sí.
A lo mejor sí.
A lo mejor hoy es la noche, güey, porque neta, ni la putiza que le voy a meter a mi vieja me va a hacer sentir mejor. And then, unfortunately, there's that play, la polémica, güey, que they were offside, que quién sabe qué. Me vale verga, güey. Si eso es de lo que te estás quejando, vete a mamar verga porque eres puto. ¿Verdad? Like, no vamos a hablar de eso. Lo que sí es que hay el codazo cuando van por el balón, que le meten un codazo al jugador de Cruz Azul. Luego, ok, los del América ganan el balón y le dan el cabezazo a centro, ¿verdad? Rodo viene, mete la pata, el hombro está en la espalda, pero nunca empuja, güey. There's never that follow through that makes him go off balance. That's what I'm saying. That's all it is. Fue una pinche jugada polémica. Fue todo esto, güey. Pero neta, me gustó el partido, güey. Al último, al fin del día, no me siento como que si me cogió el pinche gato Ortiz, güey. No me siento como que si me robaron como el año pasado. ¿Sabes qué, güey? Rotondi, perdón, güey, no Romo, Rotondi, ¿verdad? Rotondi se nos desconectó, se le botó la canica. Tristemente, güey, el estilo que enseña al Selmi de, güey, ve, rómpete los huevos, pártele la madre, corretea el pinche balón, haz lo que tengas que hacer para ganar el balón, también te genera fouls, te genera pendejadas así, te genera ese tipo de cosas, porque ahora vamos a ser honestos. Rotondi fue uno de los mejores jugadores de toda la pinche liga. Si al fin del año, güey, después de toda esta pendejada que pase, cuando vemos el 11 ideal de la liga, Rotondi tiene que estar ahí, ¿verdad? Pero ahora vamos a ver el resto de todos los cabrones. Mira, Dita, cada pinche rato agarra una roja. Piovi, ¿cuántas veces no la ha cagado? Que por él nos meten la pipa. Rodo, van 2 finales que nos hace estas pendejadas. Entonces, es nomás algo que pasa cuando les exiges que se partan la madre tanto así. And that's all I have to say.
Whew.
Ahora sí, que se vengan los putazos.
And that's all I gotta say about that.
All right,
Hey,
two things.
oh.
Two things. Two things. The you made a comment earlier about Cruz Azul and basically in the first leg, how they played really well, but then like in the 50th minute, they just didn't make the adjustments, and that I have to agree with that because I see a parallel with what Cruz Azul did this year or this season, and what Pachuca did because Pachuca exposed just like Cruz Azul exposed America. Pachuca also exposed America, but in the return games and stuff like that, America was able to make those adjustments, and that's something that Cruz Azul wasn't able to do. And I have to agree with just about every pundit that basically said that America, despite being a really good game and stuff like that, in terms of managing the time, managing the game, I think America I think is the just winner because they were able to make the adjustments. And my second thing is, there were rumors that you were the guy on TV, basically doing the triple cross. Is that true? I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Mira, güey, si me llevo el pinche PJ a CDMX, no te preocupes lo que hago con mi tiempo libre, güey. Pero pues, de que voy al estadio lo más que puedo.
I will say Ricky got his fame.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
Last question. Who goes and who stays Cruz Azul, players wise? Like who stays? Like get the fuck out. We don't need them for next season.
Oof, neta, güey. That's not a question that I'm willing to answer right now. I don't know. Like you can say Rotondi, but Rotondi's been one of the best players. So then after that, who do you get rid of?
All
right?
So
who do you have in the back? Who's coming in?
Anselmi's leaving, bro.
No, Anselmi is not leaving. Anselmi is nowhere near fucking leaving anytime soon.
But do you want him to stay, or do you?
Wait, Anselmi is staying for another 3 years.
Oh my God! Not in Liga MX years, bro.
Se va a quedar el profe, güey.
The question is, do you want him to stay?
I do. Like realistically, let's be honest here and let's look at what he has done. Let's look at what Cruz Azul used to be, and we don't even have to go that far back. Let's look at Cruz Azul 2 years ago, right? Cruz Azul 2 years ago was making it into Liguillas barely, but didn't have an idea of football. Was a constantly rotating chair of not just sporting directors, but also head coaches. It was a complete mess. We were still dealing with the ghost of Billy Alvarez, and we were still making these bonehead contracts where it was 11 million for one fucking tournament, half a year. And then you go back to Argentina because you already have another contract lined up. Like it was those type of things that were happening. You were like, what the fuck is going on? And then they bring in Ivan Alonso. They bring in Anselmi. You start to see the work that's happening. You start to see the team connect with the fans, and the fans connect with the team. And the stadium becomes that barra brava that you haven't seen since Libertadores, where I'm not sure if the stadium is shaking, but goddamn does that stadium look like it's rocking and rolling. Right?
So his ass going to River the second they start reaching out to him.
He's not going to River. He already said no to Newell's Old Boys. Like
just the way Gago said that he wasn't leaving.
Mira, just because your daddy left you doesn't mean that mine is leaving. All right, you can go and look for your milk and ¿sabe qué, abuelo? Cállese el pincho, chico. You can go look for your milk and cigarettes anytime you want. Pero mi papá no se va a ir, güey. Él sí regresa, y le mete los putazos a mi mamá.
My point was that the viewer brought back El Muñeco. I'm pretty sure they did. I don't see that guy leaving.
Hey, serious question. Does it kind of bother you that America, played both games in Estadio Azul and didn't get advanced to the final? Because, I mean, that's kind of like the equivalent of America putting,
I was going to bring that up. Not only did that's
what I'm saying is America. I mean, they're basically an orphan right now because Azcárraga is gone, and they have no house. They're homeless. So that's pretty much one of the reasons why I'm kind of happy.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys got shut out twice. No, there was more America fans than Cruz Azul fans.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Like when you don't have a home, dude, you're like you're basically couch surfing. You know what I mean?
So is it true that they're gonna try to make Puebla their home?
Santiago Baños was talking about that, so they're not really sure as to. I don't think they're going to do Cruz Azul, Estadio Azul next season, but I mean, I know that they wanted Toluca. Toluca said no, and I don't blame them after that four fucking ass whipping. But I mean,
Senor.
honestly, who realistically wants to be put in the cuck chair? In the cuck, the couch in their home.
I think they should play their games in El Acron.
You know, so I mean, if if you set aside your pride, America could basically pay your bills for the entire next 5 years, dude. If you just let them fucking there, bang, open the door, let them, let America bang your wife, and you just sit down in the cut chair.
I'm
surprised.
Just
swallow your pride.
Señor,
I'm
señor,
surprised.
Why do you think El Gobe is letting it happen? El gobernador de Pachuca, güey, ya dijo que sí. La familia Escárraga, Televisa y el Gobe de Pachuca. No, hombre, güey. Super pinches cuates.
I don't buy the Pachuca thing because I know they've had beefs. I don't buy that one.
You don't think they're going to El Cuauhtémoc?
What's that? No, Cuauhtémoc, yes. Like Puebla, yes. Pachuca, no.
Oh, sorry. Güey, pinches pueblos piteros, güey. Me confundo todos, ¿verdad? Se van a ir al pinche Cuauhtémoc porque el Gobe le está dejando, como tú dijiste, güey, está dejando que se coja a su esposa. Yeah, entonces, es lo que está pasando.
So just a little backdrop, and we're talking like maybe 10 years ago. Okay, America was playing in Pachuca. They were going to play in at the Cuauhtémoc in Puebla, and basically the day before the game, when all the fucking tickets were sold and stuff like that, there was a break-in, and basically the money was stolen. So, but we all know who fucking took it. The fucking Puebla owners. And basically, with insurances and shit like that. But so Puebla ain't, the Puebla owners, they're not stupid. They know that America can pay the bills. But I mean, honestly, I personally would like. I don't. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of going to Puebla. I mean, honestly, I probably would have just gone to Querétaro. It's closer. The stadium is kind of like a mini Azteca. But at least right now it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great semi. On the other side of things, too, Rayados, they finally woke up. It really, they showed who was boss. And let's not forget, they're gonna be closing the final at home in front of their fans. So a lot of pressure on Rayados to do this. But one thing that they have been doing is been scoring a lot of goals in this playoff. Rifado, you've been too quiet. Let's hear your take.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to.
I want to hear Riffraff's take on the Michelis. When you get to
one
it,
second.
I
wanted to do a few. I wanted to touch on a few points by Abdias, and he was right to praise America and some of the changes they made throughout the game. Jardine, he knew exactly when to flood the midfield. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but he basically played like 3 or 4 midfielders throughout the whole game, and so like the center was completely covered, and that forced Cruz Azul to do long balls. It forced them to like spread apart, and so America was able to like expose like acres of space throughout the match, and they scored these goals from these sort of situations created by this tactical change inputted by Jardine. And that I thought like he deserves all the praise because of doing that, because not only did he do that well, but he also like initiated like these high pressure moments that Abdias was talking about, in which they couldn't play out the back comfortably. So they were never able to set into that rhythm that we've been seeing all season long. And then and then like when that happened, they were just vulnerable to these counterattacks, throughout the whole match by America. And then we also have to like give Jardine his flowers for what's it called? What he's done with these fringe players like Aguirre, who was basically chased out of Rayados. Now he's getting called up by Uruguay, scoring for Uruguay. Like he's totally revitalized his career, and he's done it at the behest of Jardine. Another player, Jonah, who was on the fringes before he arrived. He had a great game. Same thing with Renato. He hasn't been playing all that much, and it's hard to keep someone like that you've iced like motivated, right? But this guy, he comes in and then he scores that chulada, and he was just just great. And so I have to give him praise for his man management, because it takes stones to like bench the player of the tournament last year, Diego Valdez. He also benched Brian, what's his name, Brian Rodriguez, as well as the big signing from the Netherlands, Dil Rusan. These guys didn't even see the field, right? And then he started. There's one questionable thing that I thought was like that I would criticize him for, and it's in the first leg. He played Miguel Vasquez, this 20-year-old center back from the Cantera, right? Has a wonderful game against Cruz Azul in the first leg, but he doesn't feature in the second leg, right? And I'm like, did this guy get injured? I don't know what happened, but instead he brings on Nestor Araujo late on, who almost gives away that penalty where he steps on the Cruz Azul player's face, right? And so like that was just one criticism, but like all in all, like just a tactical masterclass.
What penalty are you talking about? What are you talking about stepping on a player's face? I didn't see that. There's no way that the VAR missed that. How the fuck do you step on a player's face?
So that one, like it was like up in the air. Like that I would say that late one was just as much as a penalty as the America penalty. Like they were both like, was it a penalty? Wasn't it? And so I thought that was like a little bit of an inconsistency by the ref.
Espérame. ¿Me estás diciendo que al América le cobran penales y al Cruz Azul no?
I thought that was an inconsistency because they were both, I don't know, to me they both look the same. They both look like non-penalties or soft penalties, and then one was given and the other wasn't. But like these gray moments, like it's hard to like not sound like a conspiracy theorist, right? It wasn't like blatant enough to like really hang your hat on that. And the truth of the matter is Cruz Azul should have put it away. Like they were so like distracted by that third goal they scored that they fucking shit the bed in defending. Rotondi, who's probably was like the best player for Cruz Azul, maybe even the league, bar Paulinho. He really shit the bed this game with that second goal, that Renato Sanchez goal. So that was unfortunate. But there was one guy who I thought was fucking amazing for Cruz Azul, and that was the 19-year-old Amaury Morales. I've been touting him all season. He hasn't seen that many minutes, to tell you the truth. But, he scored that left-footed goal late on. Jovenazo. I hope to see more of him. And then what else was I going to say? Anyways, someone else?
Yeah, so two things about the penalties and stuff like that, all right? And the VAR. So if the camera crew were more focused on covering, different angles rather than trying to focus and find a fucking Mongol in the crowd.
Hey, don't talk about Ricky that way. He got his dreams came true.
All right. So don't blame fucking, Tele America. You blame the camera guy. What's that? and secondly, you play 2 goddamn home games. All right, stop bitching about a goddamn penalty.
One thing about America's penalty is that this is the first penalty of the season they've been awarded. So they haven't been given.
What?
They haven't been awarded one.
I mean, right now, since Papa Azcárraga is out of the picture, he can't be paying checks, but there's still Venmo, there's still Cash App, there's still Zelle, so there's still ways to pay.
So like that's something to the credit. Like this is the first penalty they've been awarded this season, this tournament. I mean, and so like it's not like they've been favored all that much this season. but maybe this is the one that counted. This is the one they were saving their pennies for.
Wait. Where's that soundbite? There it is. Yeah. I was reading that the final is America going to play in El Cuauhtémoc for the final or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Güey, no mames. Es la corrida guadalupana.
They really said, fuck your couch, Abdiaz. They said, you know what? We're going to take our business elsewhere, even though we're homeless.
No, güey, es la corrida guadalupana. ¿O no sabes qué es eso?
No, I know what that is. Come on.
It's
Güey, por eso
America.
mismo no puedes, espérate, güey, no puedes tener dos eventos de esa magnitud en la misma cuadra. Y la pinche, la Plaza de Toros y el Estadio Azul están literalmente pegados.
So I'm is basically sin papá, sin casa. They're taking advantage of AMLO's bienestar. So, yep.
And there was two more things I wanted to say about Cruz Azul, and the another criticism would be for the Greek fucking whatever the fuck his name, Yakomakis. I thought he was a fucking dud the whole first match. The second game, like, he's fast, he's strong, but he's a fucking dumbass. Like, he's the sort of guy you need to feed him 5 chances for him to score 1. And like, he could have put Cruz Azul ahead so many times in these 2 legs, and he shot the bed. It was too big for him. And what's it called? Ron was talking about who should be shipped out. It should be the fucking Greek. He's young. He's got like good intangibles, but he's a fucking dumbass. And yeah, like, I was watching him and I was like, damn, this guy is really frustrating. I don't know why people are so hyped on this guy. And then another thing
es que es de Europa y tú no eres.
No, yeah. The biggest thing is just how tall he is. Like,
he's tall. Yeah, he's got so many intangibles.
Threat. He's so fucking tall. He's good for the headers, and that's about it. Now put somebody.
But he's
like
a pecho frío.
Sí, güey, pero ponlo con un montón de pinches frijoleros, güey. Cuando yo voy a Cancún, me siento alto, güey. ¿Por qué? Porque son puros pinches chaparritos y morenos. Es todo lo que hay en la puta liga.
And then my second point was, Dios was talking about this mindset that Cruz Azul, this like bitch mindset where they're just complaining. They accosted the ref after the game. They stormed his box, and they were like fucking kicking the door, and they yelled at him, and I think they even assaulted him. But Medio Tiempo covered it, and yeah, like, it was. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some suspensions and some heavy fines. Because Andonai Escobedo basically had to run like the fuck out of there as soon as the final whistle.
Yeah.
Cruz Azul has not been able to eliminate America since 1999 in Liga MX. And for basically 20 plus years now, I've been hearing the same thing. Oh, it's the refs, and I remind myself of that Barcelona documentary. I don't remember if it was on Amazon Prime or Netflix, but they had Johan Cruyff, and he was talking about when he basically went into Barcelona. He just couldn't understand, or he couldn't believe that victim mentality, and he's like, wait a minute, you don't see Real Madrid do that. So it's like, why are we doing this? So you can't be a big club and have a victim mentality. So, I mean, that's one of those things that, Cruz Azul, and honestly, I mean, Joel, who was the former Chivas? He also went to play with Cruz Azul that used to, I think he's the one that say that, when we play against America, nos tiemblan las patitas or something to that effect. Who was it? Was it Sabah?
Player?
Was that?
That was, he did, the striker.
Yeah, it was Miguel Sabah, right? He said something to that effect that que nos tiemblan las piernas cuando jugamos contra el América. He said something to that effect, and so yeah, I mean, Cruz Azul kind of needs to change that mindset when they play with America, because like I said, I mean, this has been going since 1999.
I think it's just
You
one of
know?
those things where it's like, oh no, it's happening again, and the prophecy is fulfilled. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy when these two teams match up, and there's any signs of like,
It's you're right. You're right because every now and then I haven't caught all his episodes, but what's his name? El Oscar, whatever, del reportero or whatever on his podcast. He's had some of his former teammates in there, and like when they talk about America and they talk about those finals, it's like you can sense those like those demons. It's like shit. It's it's they know it's coming. They just don't know when it's coming.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it feels like.
Look,
And
man,
it's funny
all I'm gonna
as
say is that there's a reason why there's a rivalry, right? There's a reason why things like this happen. Pero ¿sabes qué, güey? Y cuanto me duele decirlo, neta, güey, nos tienen de hijos. Like, ahorita, lo que ha estado pasando, ver a los pinches niños, güey, llorar y festejar un pinche triunfo del América sobre Cruz Azul, no mames, güey. ¿Qué más hay que decir que, pues, they have our number?
And it,
Here
it,
we
it
are.
must hurt too because you guys had this historic season, #1, most points, and it's just like, but it's gonna happen, And I knew it was gonna happen. It's just, and it never happens the way you think it's gonna go down. It's always a new surprise. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Look, I said it a long time ago, all right? And it was while Ron and Ricardo were all hiding because, había crisis en el América, pero nadie lo quiere decir, ¿verdad? Pero mientras que estos cabrones estaban escondiendo, les dije a todos, the danger with America is that they're a bunch of fucking fart sniffers. They get high off of sniffing their own farts. And once they understand that and they start to believe in it, that's when they get truly
Once
dangerous.
they get high on their own supply.
That's it, man. And everyone was like, no, güey, quién sabe qué, que esto y el otro. Pero no, that's the thing about America. If they believe it, if they put their mind to it, that's the team that they are. And I hate the fact that I had to make that point while all the Americanistas were hiding, but somebody has to speak the truth. And that's what it is.
Hmm. We haven't talked about Rayados yet. I think they've had a great tournament so far. They've had some decent opposition. They were able to beat Tigres, then San Luis, and do it convincingly too. I think people are sleeping on them in this final.
So
go ahead.
I think they're like like Cruz Azul, 2.0. I've said it before. They're choke artists, so it's hard to take them serious. But we do have to give their coach Di Michel's flowers. He's only been there 4 months, and he's got some really good results for this team. I'm not counting them out, but I do think America is the favorite. Because these guys, they've been mad inconsistent, and they're picking up during the right time, just like how America picked up during the right time. So I think it's pretty even, but I'm going to give the edge to America.
Wow. Yeah, they played each other October 27th. America won that matchup 2-1. So in the regular season, America definitely does have the advantage. Have they faced each other in a final? They have, right? Or am I tripping?
I think you're tripping. I don't think because it's typically Los Rayados going up against, like, Los Regios going up
No, they
against
have
each other and
America.
having
America
those
lost.
things.
America lost.
Yeah.
Hace cuánto, güey?
In fact, America has a little. They got a score to settle because if you recall, and I posted this in the chat, when Turco basically he got sent off. I want to say it's when he was with Pumas. He got sent off at a game in Azteca, and basically to taunt the Americanista fans, he was basically he was doing a hand gesture with his finger that like, hey, I did una vuelta olímpica, meaning that, hey, I beat you here. And honestly, I thought that was a bitch move considering that he once coached America, So I mean, he's like, I don't
Wow.
think he. So
Yeah,
that's what.
2019, America
Yeah.
lost to them in penalties. It was Piojo versus Mohamed.
Yep. So so yeah, they have. So there is a score to settle, but obviously it's two completely different teams. Two different coaches.
Now, something that I do want to bring up and put on the table is just a very little fun fact. And I'm not one of those who's like, no, history tells us everything, like what happened before is going to happen again. But Rayados has only won at El Cuauhtémoc twice before. They cannot
Wow.
win
That's
at El
so
Cuauhtémoc.
random.
They have a losing
I
history
mean, that's
in
against Puebla,
Cuauhtémoc.
dude.
It's not against Puebla. It's not just against Puebla because they've played against America there too. It's
When?
any time that wait, America uses El Cuauhtémoc because their second home all the time.
Hmm.
Anytime that there's like que va a jugar México, que hay concierto en el estadio, cualquier pendejada, se quieren ir para allá porque a estos putos
That's news to
no
me.
les gusta el Estadio Azul, no les gusta Ciudad de los Deportes. Entonces prefieren irse al Cuauhtémoc, prefieren irse a Toluca, no les gusta quedarse en
Well, yeah, that
Ciudad de
place is a
México.
fucking shithole. I don't blame them.
You know what? Don't you dare to fucking talk trash about my trash,
They're
okay?
supposed to tear
Like
it
it's my
down, bro. Why is it
home.
still there?
Because, ¿sabes qué, güey? Don't get me heated because we've talked about this
I
before.
know we
It's just
have. It's
Mexico
just
City politics. It's just the way shit
well, let's
works.
let's call it what it is, though. It's a fucking dump, man. And I know it's conveniently located, so I'll give it that location, location, location. But god damn it, they need to tear that shit down and build something new.
You know what, man? It's a 50-50, all right? Because it gives you all of those classic Liga MX vibes, all right?
So,
It's got the fans. It's got the shitty
The fans aren't gonna go
stadium.
anywhere. They just need a new stadium.
Dude,
Jaime,
that's
are you
it's
saying
still a
that?
beautiful fucking stadium.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Ron?
So you're saying that the Estadio Cuauhtémoc should be demolished?
No, no, no. El de Deportes, the Cruz Azul Stadium.
Oh, okay.
No, the Cuauhtémoc's good. It's gotten a facelift recently. It's a great stadium. I would have preferred that one for the World Cup.
I call it the shower curtain.
The shower curtain.
That's what I call it. But no, there's been a lot of upgrades to Cuauhtémoc. I don't. Interesting. Interesting thing about Puebla and Monterrey. Um, that for the 70 World Cup, Monterrey, since they were, they had more they had more teams and they had more teams and obviously more money. They were supposed to host the World Cup, but the president at the time, he was from Puebla. He said, "Fuck Monterrey. I'm gonna have the games in Puebla, and we're gonna have a stadium built in Puebla."
Wow.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah.
there's a little.
Didn't Mexico play like a elimination game there in Monterrey? It was so random.
No. They for 70 they lost in the Bombonera in Toluca against Italy 4-1. And then they lost in the 86 World Cup. They lost to West Germany. A game that they should have won that had, and when you look at the replays and stuff like that, not America, Mexico got fucked over. That was a game that
The Vuelo
Mexico should have won.
Cruzco, right?
That was in
And when
Monterrey.
Exactly.
Cruzco
That was
gets
that was
annulled,
at that was in Monterrey at the Tecnológico.
Hmm.
bad luck for Abuelo Cruz gets that epic goal annulled. Then he gets
Yep.
injured going into '94. God
Yep.
damn.
Yep. But yeah,
Sort of.
now, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would tear down Azul. But I mean,
I think it's embarrassing that like I consider like Mexico City like London, right? And look at how many beautiful stadiums are in London, how many teams are in London. And like this is like the nucleus of Mexico. They should have like a modern stadium, and they don't have one.
Senor, senor,
here's
you
the
are
thing.
showing your
Like, here's the thing.
Americanness. All right?
Now,
This is
here's the.
Mexico City. What the fuck are you expecting?
So here's the thing. Now, like for example, they're building, or maybe they already finished the one for Everton, right? They're building, they're getting them
That's
a
in
new
Liverpool.
stadium.
That's in Liverpool, bro.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that, I mean, I don't see. Um, I mean, I wouldn't want to see Liverpool get a new stadium, just like I didn't want Everton getting a new stadium and stuff like that, or even Chelsea or a bunch of these. But it's like I'd rather keep that old stuff. Like for example, unless they're gonna do like refurbish it,
Like
like
Wembley.
no, fuck them. No, that's not a refurbishment. That's new construction.
Oh,
What I'm saying is like like for example, what Toluca did with the Bombonera,
yeah.
same location, same urban. I mean, what they did there is beautiful.
No, yeah,
They
I
could
would.
do.
You don't want to tear
They
down
could.
a masterpiece like
They,
Azteca. I never want to see Azteca get torn down. But
I mean, honestly, what I'm saying is that maybe they can even still tear down Estadio Azul or
yeah,
refurbish it.
yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't want to, get
But
rid. I mean,
that stadium has nothing going for it. There's no fucking riz on that stadium. It's just a generic bowl stadium. Like it's not like there are some like historic stadiums in Mexico that are recognizable and like, oh yeah, I want to keep that history, but there's nothing special
honestly,
about that
well,
one.
honestly,
Es Ciudad de los Deportes, el Autodromo, la corrida de toros, todo
there's
eso,
not
güey. Like, no
before
mames, ¿no entiendes eso?
Bro,
there isn't a bad seat in that stadium. I mean, it's like the Azteca before they started doing all that fancy shit. There wasn't a bad seat in the stadium. You could be in the
it's
nosebleeds.
just a
And
generic bowl, dude. I mean, it's like the Rose Bowl stadium. That's what it reminds me of.
no. I mean,
And the Rose Bowl is recognized as one of like the biggest, most important stadiums
It's
in
a
the
historic
US.
landmark. It's a historic
Like,
landmark.
if you want fancy EPL, all of this shit, then stop watching Liga MX.
No,
Because
I'm just
that's not
saying,
what you're
like,
gonna
there's
get. You're not
nothing.
gonna get these stadiums. You're not gonna wait. Tienes el autodromo, tienes la corrida de toros, tienes el estadio, tienes el
That's
teatro,
fine.
tienes
Tear it
todo
down and
ahí
do an
mero.
homage to that. You can
That's what
still.
we wanted to do, but they wouldn't fucking let us because corruption in Mexico is still rampant.
I'm just saying, like, there's ways to honor the previous stadium, right? But like, there's nothing special about. I'm sorry, there's nothing special about Pumas Stadium either. I know it's like historic and the Olympics and all that, but honestly, it's fucking atrocious, bro. Like, tear that shit down, build a modern stadium. Like, Mexico deserves new stadiums.
actually, no, because like for example, in the 2006 World Cup, 9 out of the 12 were not new stadiums. In fact, the stadiums were much older. Were much older than the ones in Mexico. I mean, by a lot.
Wait,
They just refurbished
which World Cup?
in the one in Germany, the one in 06. So like this, like that's why I always laugh when people say, "Oh, we don't have the stadiums. Our stadiums are old." So it's like, okay, so if the Germans do it,
Wait for the World Cup.
yeah, they're being innovative, but if the Mexicans do it, they're just being cheap. So no, you can still fucking refurbish them. You can still do, you can still do amazing things,
Yeah.
And stuff like I said. That's what I'm saying. It's like, do
What the thing was with the thing with FIFA was they had all these like ridiculous fucking rules on the stadium. And I think part of it is to the business of it, because it's like, oh, you're gonna have to have like an elevator to the fucking presidential suite.
Wait,
Like a private fucking elevator, and like you could contract whatever fucking company they have from fucking Switzerland to go and build it.
Wasn't Toros Neza Stadium built for the World Cup?
Yep, it was. It was.
Yeah.
But that was that technically they should have never built that one. But like for example, in Germany, I think the only 3 new stadiums that they built from the ground up was the one for the the Bayern Munich, the Allianz Arena.
Yeah.
Then the Gelsenkirchen, and then I think the other one was the Leipzig, I think. But the thing is, like I said, Mexico. I personally, I mean, I like the fact that I don't think that what's in the one that you just talked about, the Toros Neza, that was a shit. That's a shitty stadium. That should have never been built, and that should have never been used. you know.
So I could see those other stadiums that Jaime hates. I could see them getting a facelift. I mean, we saw it recently with Puebla, Toluca, and Veracruz. I mean, Veracruz is, you know,
So
they're
Yeah,
so
better.
so back to the
like
Germany
80%
example
done, I
real
think.
quick. I just wanted to touch on the Germany example but by Ron. I think that's more the exception. If we look at all the World Cups after that, maybe with the exception of Russia, Brazil, South Africa, Qatar, they've
Shit.
had a bunch of new stadiums built
That's
and then
right.
abandoned. So this
But
idea of like
Yeah, but that's part of the
that goes.
corruption of
But
that sport.
exact. But that's what
Same with Brazil.
that goes back to the white elephants. So basically, and if you notice, not just in FIFA, but even in the IOC, you've started to see more and more games go into countries that are quote unquote not so friendly to the West. And part of that is because the leaders of like the IOC and FIFA and stuff like that, they have been basically bribed by petrodollars and Asian tiger banks and stuff like that to go into Russia, to go into China, to go into into these areas. And the thing about it is, how and where are you able to launder money? Well, it's through construction,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
and that's why you've been seeing more of that because you're able to basically launder a lot of money by
Yeah.
basically doing that. Um,
And not
I'm not
just the
saying it.
stadium, it's roads that they'll build in hotels.
Yeah, like for example, the Sochi, what is it, the Sochi games or whatever? Those games should have never happened because you could have taken you could have taken to another place that has basically snow year round or just
Yeah.
about. So like I said, I personally don't think that you should be tearing down stadiums. I think that you should try to upgrade them, refurbish them, and especially if they're part of the community. Um, because again, like you start, when you start going to other places, like what they used to do before, like in France or now Germany and stuff like that. I just think you kill this, you kill the atmosphere
Mm.
when you start building all these cookie cutter
Yeah.
stadiums because it's usually the same architects that does this
Yeah.
HOK and stuff like that, and it's
I,
like, come on, dude, it's
Yeah.
like
They're all like
you lose it.
metal. They're all like metal bowls, metal toilet seats now. That's what they all look like.
Oh, me life. And there's
Like,
toilet
don't
bowl.
get me wrong, Real Madrid's stadium is like from the inside is
Oh,
gorgeous, but from the outside it just looks like one of those things that you piss on. Like one of those
urinal?
one of those like no, but the ones that you keep by the bed because you can't go, that's what it looks like.
a bedpan.
Bedpan, yeah.
Ah,
Here
shit.
I was
A
gonna say
bed
paper
pan.
pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
My only request for the new Pirata Fuentes is a memorial to El Putazo. That's all I ask.
They need to
That's
have
all I
they
ask.
need to have a statue of that somewhere or a
I
mural.
think they had this cheesy like gauze looking shark coming out somewhere in there in the
Yeah.
old one. I remember seeing. They
The
need to bring that
the
back.
players walking out of the locker room, right? It's like a shark mouth. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did, did you see
Bring it back.
speaking of Putazo, did you see Quao and Faitelson
Yeah.
covering the America Cruz Azul
Look
semi?
like Faitelson was having fun. I think
Yeah.
Faitelson is a classic America.
Well,
For years, I've
there
got
was
this for years.
there was actually footage of, I think it was him, of during like the Toluca game, or maybe it was like the play-in game where he basically America scores and he fucking raises his hand, you know.
Mm,
So it's like, oh shit, maybe he is a fucking closet Americanista.
he
I,
probably is.
that's the one thing. That's my regret, gents. I ran into Faitelson at the Home Depot, the Carson Stadium for the Galaxy, and their press box is really small. It's like small. It's like 20 people fit there, and I didn't have a seat. I was standing. There's only like two rows, and I was standing by the door, and he went in there to the side. He was pretty tall, man. He's like 6'4" or something.
Yeah, he's tall.
And he started talking to me, and I was like, "Holy shit, is this dude?" And it was actually a Cruz Azul America game, another really good game. It was for the Interliga. I think it was the final to go to Libertadores. And that's the one thing I wanted to tell him. Like, aren't you an America fan? But I choked, dude. I choked. That's how you I did, dude.
Shine your shoes, sir.
No, not like that. It's just I don't.
Speaking about stadiums, there was a controversial announcement. Atlante are moving yet again, and this time they will be taking over Zacatepec. I will say that's probably one of the best stadiums that's not in the first division, and I'm not sure what happened to that team, but Atlante moves yet again.
Are they keeping the Atlante logo and stuff like that,
I
or are
think
they
so.
gonna?
No, I
Are
think
they
they
still?
are. Yeah, I think they're keeping the logo and the colors. The stadium's green and white though, so I don't know if they're gonna have to paint that.
Well, another stadium that I thought is nice, and I mean, obviously they can refurbish it and stuff like that. But Morelia Stadium was not that bad either, and I mean
True.
that was up that I think they had up to 45. I think it was over 45, so it did meet the FIFA's requirements
Yeah,
for
no,
for.
I never had issues with that stadium. I'm also a big fan of Tres de Marzo in Zapopan.
I've been there. I like it. You could use refurbishing, but it's a nice stadium.
World Cup Stadium. I'm looking at this
Yeah.
list. You had Estadio Nou Camp in León, Guanajuato. You had one in Irapuato. You had one in Toros Neza. You had the Tecnológico in Monterrey. And then Querétaro Stadium too. World Cup Stadium. Crazy.
Yep.
Did you guys see that story about Borghetti and him trying to retire at Santos?
Yep.
So the story is like his contract with León was expiring, and his desire was to suit up for Santos one last time and retire at that club. And they straight up just denied his request, shut him down, and he ended up just retiring. How tragic is that?
But he was pissed when he was retelling the story. You could
Yeah, you
you
could
could
see it.
you could see, you
Yeah.
could sense his anger. Like I mean, to his eyes were
He
like
was
almost
gonna
fucking.
start serving the wall. Run.
I mean, you could see his eyes were fucking getting red. And
Yeah.
he was talking about how he reached out to the front office, and they basically just invited him to the presidential suite. Basically just threw a little fucking spread, and called it a day. And he basically said, "Hey, look, just sign me up for the season. I don't want to be a distraction." Because that's what they were afraid of, that he was going to be a distraction,
Mm-hmm.
and that he was going to cause problems to the players and to the coach. And it says, "Hey, you don't even have to suit me up, just so like if they see that I'm not going to be suited up, they're not going to call my name, and they're not going to put pressure on the coach." But even with that, what's his name, Iragorri basically says, "Fuck you."
Am I
Yeah, that
tripping,
was fucked up.
or was Santos at that time like doing really, really good though? Like, weren't they like winning titles and shit?
He said they had just gotten Darwin, right?
Yeah. So
Or who? Yeah.
Yeah, so they won in 08 and they were runners up in 2010 twice. So I think that's what it was. It's like, hey, like we have like
I think
a
that's
good
it.
nucleus, and we don't want you to, you know.
Yeah, but it sounds just like that an excuse because if we look at like throughout Borghetti's career, he was not known for a player to be a locker room problem or to be one of those players that were
You don't know that.
that yeah, because you hear these stories all the time of especially now they would have been resurfaced all of them. Now you hear with all these podcasts and whatnot. So he's for the board. He was always the pretty chill guy. I don't think um, I don't think he was gonna be causing any problems. Um, I wonder what it was though, because Borghetti said they didn't even talk about money. You know, so I wonder what was the real reason. I just don't see him as a distraction. Um,
Hey man, sometimes it's just about ego. Sometimes you, the owner, the president, you want
yeah,
the guy walking around like he's the biggest thing at the club. Like you bow down
yeah,
to him. Even if he's a humble guy, the jealousy gets to you, you know? It sneaks up on you. I'm building this
yeah,
stadium, I'm building this community, and they like bow down to him. He hasn't even been here forever. So maybe it's just a simple ego thing. But it
yeah.
doesn't make sense on their part not to give him that, especially when he didn't even want to suit up. He just wanted to, get subbed in some random game and call it quits on his resume was this official ass club. You see baseball teams do that all the time. They'll sign a player like for just one game.
One day
So,
or yeah, day
yeah,
contract.
so he can officially retire with them. So yeah, it's a weird situation.
No,
And
I think if just really quick to make the comparison, this is where like Argentina, I guess they do it right. You see that they do that a lot. Their clubs, they'll bring in a lot of players that were iconic, and they'll give them like that one last season. And like you said, they don't have to be starters. They don't have to. They just get to play. A lot of them end up doing really good though, and that's part of it because I can see how much of motivation it is, and it's like it's you're going away, so they end up having good seasons most often than not.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you really think about it, Mexico doesn't know how to treat their stars, and this is something that's basically problematic because if you think about it, Hugo Sanchez, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, um, it's like when they tried to basically close out their careers, even Saturnino Cardoso,
Both
because
of them.
remember, I mean, he was at ends with what's his name, Lebrija,
Damn.
towards the end and stuff like that, and he was even there was also kind of like a little um, problem that he had with the Toluca's ownership, but that's something that he said like, hey, that wasn't my doing, uh, and I think America handled Saga's Saga's because he wanted that final game. He wanted a final game with America, and America. I mean, they basically brought Barcelona for Saga. I don't know if you remember that game where America played Barcelona at the Azteca, and I mean, and Barcelona brought their A team. They had Pujols, they had all those guys and stuff like that. This must have been in 2003 or 2004, around there. But I mean, come to think of it, when you see, like I said, most Mexican teams, they treat their aging stars like shit. Whether it's Aguinaga, whether it's Cardoso, whether it's what's his name, Cavino, whether it's Hugo Sanchez, whether it's Cuauhtemoc Blanco. I mean, I don't. If you recall, a couple years back, on Football Picante, Jose Ramon basically had Cuauhtemoc Blanco, and in that panel they had Peláez, they had Hugo Sanchez, they had Lizague and stuff like that. And Cuau was basically going around the table, basically, shaking everybody's hand and stuff like that. But he was basically, he called out fucking Peláez about that, that bullshit, uh, farewell game that they gave him where they let Cuauhtemoc Blanco play just a couple fucking
oh
minutes or
yeah,
whatever. So it's
yeah,
unfortunately, it's one of those things where Mexico, just in general, they've always, and this is not just Liga MX. This is problematic in Mexico in general, that they don't value the older experience, personnel and people and stuff like that. They basically just try to kick them to the curb and say, hey, get the fuck out, you're no longer of use to me.
yeah. I mean, and
I read that happens in.
Chivas also had a bad history of treating their legends really badly up until now. I mean, Chicharo's the only one that's gotten his flowers, but everybody else, man,
I
they
think he shits some bad.
through the back door.
He gives everyone reasons not to do it. But Ron, I was reading about that, how you were saying about like older, how they treat like older people, and I was reading about like in jobs. If you're like with older with more experience, a lot of times they'll let a lot of those people go.
Well, it is. And just in general in Mexico, once you reach a certain age, past 35, companies basically are trying to try to find ways to basically let you go because they don't want to basically pay the bennies. They don't want to pay the severance packages and stuff like that. So it's like, and it's quite the opposite. Like when you compare Mexico to other places like the U.S. and and places like Canada and stuff like that, where you know they actually value the experience and they value that you're older and more mature and stuff like that. And Mexico tends to be the opposite. So I mean that's one of the reasons why that sort of cultural norm tends to basically uh, I guess trickle down into how they treat the players, because at the end of the day they treat them as workers. And once you get um, to a certain age, it's like, hey, fuck you. And
I-
this was one of my this was one of my beefs that I always had with, like, for example, when Mexico had the draft and stuff like that. So like, for example, with, like, I remember towards the end of Alex Aguinaldo's career and stuff like that, how he was like, oh my god, the way they treat me and stuff like that, I'm fucking, they're putting me out in a meat market, with the draft. And I'm thinking, you son of a bitch, when you were the star player, when you had fucking clout, you could have said something, and you could have, got together with all the fucking league stars, with Cardosos and the Cuauhtemoc Blancos and the Luis Garcias and all those fuckers, and said, you know what, we're not going to have this. But when you're hot shit and you're the man and stuff like that, you're only looking out for yourself. You're not looking out for the players that are coming up the ranks, and you don't care about the players that have retired. So I mean,
I
so
have a
it's
question.
go ahead. Yeah.
They Borghetti said that he wouldn't have, been a locker room problem, that he would have, stayed away. He would have just been one of the guys. But how true is that when you have players that have gone to Europe and have come back? Because I hear that the players que se van a Europa, especially Borghetti, who was one of the first Mexicans to play in the Premier League, like, I'm sure they got some ego, and I'm sure they would be an influence in the locker room.
Look, I don't believe Borghetti, because honestly, I still don't. I still don't. I still remember that those fucking shenanigans that he pulled when, I think, who was it, with Cruz Azul, when they were playing, what is it, the Libertadores, and how he left the coach hanging, like becoming problematic. You know, he at this point he was an established player, legend, and stuff like that. So he should have set a better example. So I honestly think that. I mean, I'm not saying that the Santos front office handled it properly, but I also understand how Borghetti could have basically been a cancer, because, like I said, I thought that was very, very unprofessional of Borghetti. Who knows? Maybe if he hadn't pulled those shenanigans, perhaps he probably would have gone that final game. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it on a lot of podcasts from, like, players that, like, oh, yo fui a Europa, no me puedes decir nada, like, they they come back a little bit with the ego and stuff. And Borghetti, I mean, at that time he was the all-time goal scorer for Santos. I mean, still is, and the all-time goal scorer for Mexico. So I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure it wouldn't have been as easy as he thought it was. Um, but nonetheless, I don't agree with them not even letting him be part of the team for even a day and just let him retire there, because he was part of that rise, right? I mean, they won their first title with him, and he ends up getting two for that club. I got a question for y'all. Who do you think was more of an impact, Borghetti or Peralta for Santos? Because they both won two titles there.
I think Borghetti, because with Peralta, his attack, and he I mean he also played for America. So
But that was after.
That was
I
after.
know,
Like
but
that was
so, but
after he had all that hype, after he did everything. If anything, I will rebuttal what you're saying with Oribe because Oribe was more of a team player. He was the true captain and organized that team from beginning to end. Like Oribe was that team.
okay. So do you remember? Do you remember the player um, Agustin Marchesin?
Of course.
Okay, who did he play for before America?
Santos.
Okay, now there was something very famous that Marchesin said before he went to America. Do you remember what he said?
What do you say?
That he basically criticized America's that he could never play for a team like that, and he's just talking about like the flamboyant and blah blah blah. I mean, he just basically just railed against America. So then, um, fast forward a couple years, and he's with America. He's basically bent the knee. He's basically professing his love to America and stuff like that. That fucking rubbed the fucking Guerreros the wrong way. And I remember the fucking social media, the fucking heat that he caught for that. But he's also aware that America is the one that kind of catapulted his career, to the national team and also to Europe. Same thing with Oribe Peralta. He basically he admitted that, hey, America, when you're in America, that elevates your status. And he professed his love and stuff like that. I mean, although respecting Santos and stuff like that, it's not like he was trashing his former club. But many fucking fans took beef to that and say, you know what, fuck you.
Mm.
It's one thing to like if you go like let's say from Santos to Monterrey or Santos to Cruz Azul, okay, yeah, but you're going from Santos to basically America, you know, and it's like it's like that's one of the things. That's why I'd say that Borghetti is probably held in higher regards than like let's say a Marchesín or like let's say a Bosso, or not. Bosso actually went to America as well, but didn't do really well with
Pony
America.
Ruiz.
But Pony Ruiz never played in America.
Oh, you mean players that play for America? Got it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I'm saying those players that basically went from Santos and eventually ended up playing in America. Yeah, there's sometimes a lot of the fan base in over there in Torreon. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. We just like they know where they stand. They know that they're the fucking Volkswagen. In America, there's a fucking Rolls Royce. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
But
mean,
you don't have to but you don't have to rub it in my face. It's like there's a famous what is it, that famous show in Spain, what is it, El Chiringuito or something like that.
mm-hmm.
El Chiringuito. Okay, try to Google this on YouTube. But there was a famous one with Hugo Sanchez and the guy, I think it was Hugo. He was an ex Boca goalkeeper, Hugo Gatti or something like that. And I don't remember with these other players, but basically they were just pissed off at fucking Hugo Sanchez because, and one of the players, he's a former, he's a Spaniard and an Argentine. It's like they're just fucking railing on Hugo Sanchez because he basically went from being an Atletico star to basically being a Real Madrid legend.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that Hugo Sanchez made an analogy. It's like, hey, I think the analogy was something about, hey, look, you spend all this time eating at an okay restaurant, but then when you eat at this fancy restaurant, it's like, oh shit, you don't want to go back over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing
So
that devalues Borghetti's stock is the fact that he did a little like carousel tour in Liga MX after he left Santos. He went to Sinaloa. I understand that's where he's from. But then he went to Pachuca, he went to Chivas, he went to Cruz Azul, Rayados, Puebla, Morelia, León. It was basically taking a contract with anyone that would give him a contract. So it was like by the time like he's like, hey, can I play at Santos? Like, no, fuck you. You've been whoring around. Like, you're not that same girl I liked. Like,
you know what? That could have been a reason too. If you're Iraragorri and they probably reached out to him, and the other clubs were just willing to give him more money. And now that that the ball was back in their court. They're like, nah, fuck you. We
I,
could
I,
have used
I,
you 2 years ago.
I think you're right there because there's more to the story than that. Because if you think about it, if you're using that same logic, Jaime, Cuauhtemoc Blanco basically played with every other fucking club, dude. You know, he did a tour as well, but
Hmm.
you know where his heart is at. You always knew that
He just
with a with
he just dicked
When
around for a
when
little
he
bit.
put
He got his.
it was when he put that Chivas jersey on his show, and he looked like a kid in Christmas. He even did his pose.
Yeah. Uh, it's crazy for like a team like Santos to do that because I mean, let's be honest. There's not that many legends for Santos. Pony Reese is up there. Borghetti. It's a very short list of players that you could consider legends, and you can't even give them their flowers. It's insane to me. We have some other rumors going around now that the season's starting to wind down. I'm gonna go through these real quick. Chiquete Orozco. I mean, I keep saying until it's official from like the club, I don't believe he's leaving Chivas. But the rumors keep building up that Cruz Azul spending 11 million for him. But I know he's a player that wants to eventually go to Europe. So why would he do that? Some other rumors. Orbelin.
Hold on. That might be true, but at the same time, what club has continuously sold players to Europe?
You guys are a money
It sure
laundering
as
scheme
fuck
though. That's
hasn't been
different.
Cuba. Chivas.
You guys are like the mattress firm of Liga MX, bro. Stop it.
So,
Yeah, and we sell players to Europe. What
so,
about
so,
you?
so just to push back on the Cruz Azul is the stairway to heaven slash Europe. They were not trying to let Huescas go. They were trying to make their money, and they saw that they were going to lose money on Huescas, and they did everything they could. They brought the case to FIFA, right? And they had nothing to go on really. But this idea that Cruz Azul will get you to Europe, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the wages will be better, and I think that he's going to be competing for more, which is something to seriously consider. And then, if he does really great there, then he could go to Europe maybe. But like
Maybe.
this idea that Cruz Azul will get you to Europe, I don't buy that.
Yeah, the way I see it is like if he decides to take another contract in Mexico, that's it. That's he just shot himself in the foot of his chances of going to Europe because now he's gonna have to play for another club and try to do things there. But honestly, if Chiquita's real mission is to go to Europe, he'll do what Chino is doing, and that is rejecting his extension. His contract expires in June, and he's gonna try to get an offer in Europe.
No, you could still do the contract. I mean, just negotiate it where it benefits the club as well. But you know, a lot of times
Chivas
they
has
want
already
to.
said it. It's if you're staying domestically, it's 11 mil. If you're going to abroad, it's 6.
Yeah, which is fair. It's just this Chivas willing to give him. I do think he deserves more wages, um, and that's where it will be more difficult if he gets bought because like if you're Cruz Azul, you pay 11. You don't
Yeah.
want to let him go for
Now,
half of that a
now
year
your
later.
clause is. I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
just so he could go abroad.
Like
So yeah,
you shot yourself in the foot because the team's gonna want their money back on that investment, and no team in Europe's gonna
yeah.
spend 11 for Chiquete. I'm sorry.
But just to play the devil's advocate with the Chiqueta thing, so like, let's say he does go, you get those 11 mil. You can do a lot with it in this market with 11 mil. You
Hell
got Rey
no.
Mejia, in the cantera doing well. You got Castillo doing well, and then you got those two boneheads, Sepulveda and what's it called, Pollo.
Yeah, but Rifado, the
What?
problem is everybody in Liga MX knows you now have 11 million, and now they're gonna raise their prices on us like they always do.
But
The
but
rumor that
since
I heard,
since I read my letter, yeah, go
well,
yes, I'm pretty
hold
sure
on.
you're
The
the one.
rumor that I heard is that just like you said, there's the Chivas tax, right? Or as I like to call it, a pendejo tax, because you impose that upon yourself. Now, how can you circumvent that local market that seems to constantly be trying to price gouge you? Well, you go abroad. As of right now, one of the rumors that I've heard is Luis Chavez.
Luis Chavez and Orbelin, and you got some people that are using weaponized autism to see that they're starting to follow the team and some of the players. I'm like, bro,
I mean, now here's the thing.
I'll be
You
happy
mean to
with
tell me
those
that
two.
11 mil won't benefit your broke ass a fuck ton?
They
I
would.
don't
No,
trust.
they would.
All right,
new
here's
team?
my issue. I
Yes.
don't trust Amaury will reinvest that money into the club.
But he
Okay,
has.
okay. If you don't trust your ownership and you don't trust your club and everything
No,
else, then
I don't
that's a
trust
you
the
problem.
owner. I don't trust Amaury will do the right thing. I think he'll
But
take
he
that.
has been.
I think he'll take that 11
Jaime.
million and pocket it, dude, and say we're
No,
gonna
he's-
lead with Tapatio. We're gonna promote these guys to Chivas, and we're good. I'm gonna take that 11 million and pretend we never saw it.
They brought. They brought.
He's going to put that deposit into that new JVC center. Don't worry about it. He's got it covered.
Yeah, I don't trust Amaury,
No.
and I would be surprised if we get any refuerzos this winter transfer window. But I did hear that Orbelin, I hear Luis Chavez. I'm like,
Yes,
I don't
that
believe any of that shit.
Hey, will you say that Hector Herrera is an upgrade to Beltran and Pocho?
No.
No. He had a
Hector,
great MLS season.
Hector
for what
Herrera is old
MLS
as
is
fuck,
worth.
dude. How old is he?
Dude, he had a great MLS season, bro.
Yeah, it's MLS though, dude.
Hey, Liga Mekis, man, is not that much superior. And Chivas is not that much superior to some of the MLS teams. Or
Man,
superior at all.
Look, what I will
otro pendejo trying to make a fucking cripple team out of Chivas.
did
So you want
did you not
Chicha,
learn
you want
anything from
HH. Like, ¿qué más quieres,
Did
güey?
you not learn from Chicharito? That experiment did not work. You
You know
know,
what? You guys can bring
But
back JJ
Chicharo's
Mack.
been ass though.
LA Galaxy just won their championship
But-
the second he left. So just
But
goes to
he
show.
was injured. He was injured. That's the thing with Chicha. He came injured. He was damaged goods, and that was the reason why like he was basically
Yeah.
had no offers
No,
from
that
anywhere.
was last
Dude,
tournament's
Ache,
excuse.
man, he was a candidate for MVP. He led his team
Yeah.
to a U.S. Open Cup title. I mean, he was good while he was playing for Houston. He just got booted because he threw a ref around or some bullshit like that.
I'm not sure about that.
Not even, man. He spit. He spit in a ref's direction or at
And
the
then
ref.
He can
he
go
got
back
his
to
EQ look.
he can go back to where he came from, which is Pachuca.
Ya
I'm
está
cool
guapo,
off
güey. Ya
that.
está guapo, güey. Ya puede jugar con Chivas.
Wait,
Ya
so
está guapo.
you
Ya
told me that
ya-
you think Nene is
está
better
caritón.
than him? Because that was my question. Compared to Nene and Pocho.
I rather have Pocho or Nene over Herrera. And
I don't
Herrera
know.
that is probably what, 35, 36? How old is he?
I don't even think he's that
Closer
old.
to 40.
No way.
Damn.
No.
Only there was a way
Wait,
to
He
quickly
is
see.
34.
Old as shit. He's old,
That's
guys.
good age. He's got 2 good years left.
Yeah, he still played one good 12 months.
Nah.
Ves, güey, and this is why Chivas keeps failing, people. Hey, dear
No,
listener, you who are in the car, ¿me estás oyendo, güey? Estos
No,
pendejos
shut the
quieren
fuck
a
up.
putos
I know where your
inválidos
point
en
is
tu
going.
club, güey.
My
Es todo lo que
point-
quieren
my
hacer.
He's not
Y yo
invalid.
aquí, güey,
This
el
is-
pinche
Chivas is
Chemo
that much
peleando contra
ass
estos
right now?
pendejos.
No, bro, you're an idiot. My point is
Yeah.
that Ache come save us. My point is
Yes.
Chivas is that ass right now that
Yes.
Ache would be a decent pickup
Up.
compared to what's on the team.
Facts.
That's
Yeah.
not
I
saying
disagree with that.
Ache save us. Dude, Nene.
Jaime, it's not like there's a lot
bro.
to choose from, man. It's not like
He's
Chivas has to list
I
20
no.
players.
Chivas
I'd
does
rather
something
have
You gotta list
a-
them like
hope
10
that they're going
players.
to
I'd
save
rather
them.
have a
Ache over
traffic
Nene,
cone
bro.
with a mop for a head than have Ache on the pitch. Look, the reason I bring this up is because there's also rumors of Tigres having a fire sale. Cordova, Lainez,
Cordova,
Flores,
yes.
Chao. They are for
Good
grabs.
time to be Chivas right now.
And I'm saying this right now on
Is
the
Tatiana part of the
podcast.
deal?
I'm saying this. Yeah, I know, right? I'm saying this right now. If Chivas failed to sign one of these three, I would consider this a complete failure. At least one of those players.
They probably will, dude, because I don't see MLS, Liga MX teams, even MLS for that matter, interested in those guys. Uh, I would go for Cordova, even though I think Riff Raff says he's consistent. To me, he seemed one of the better. Linus is just
He already went on
Linus
record
is
saying
a
no,
trophy.
though.
Bro, that would be even more
That was
stupid.
that was his
That's
first.
where
That was
the
first
11
one.
million would go. You would need to give them a similar pay of what Tigres is giving them. They're not taking
No,
a
you don't, dude.
50% pay cut. You would need to give them a
Those-
similar pay to
No,
have a
they're taking a pay
redress and
cut.
turn you down publicly.
Wait,
That's
they're
the
getting a
ultimate
pay
cuck
cut.
move right there, going from
Hey,
Look,
America took Demichelis, and I mean not the one guy Ron was talking about, and that's just what he said because he was still butthurt, man. They're still professionals. They still have to perform.
Nah, man, that's the
Cruz
ultimate
Azul,
cuck move.
none
going
of the
from
big
America.
teams are gonna get them. Put it this way: none of the big teams is gonna go after these guys. Cruz Azul is not Tigres, Monterrey. The teams with all the money. They don't want these fuckers. And these guys don't have that, that rise they were having a few seasons ago, where MLS don't even care anymore. So Chivas is like, Chivas not looking hot, dude, for them. If
I
you wanna be on the
want
sideline, you
I want
want-
Flores. He's still young, and he comes with other benefits.
All right. Other benefits?
Other
Your hot girlfriend.
there's other benefits.
Güey, ¿para qué chingados quiero a la novia si tengo a la hermana?
There's that other. I don't want Flores. He's like 5'2", man. I don't.
Sí, güey,
Unless,
pero la
unless,
hermana
al
compensa con
menos,
suficiente culo.
sí, güey, pero se va a estar sentando enfrente de mí, güey.
Pues no hay pedo,
Like,
güey.
no,
pues
güey,
se
ni
siente
la
en
vas a.
cara.
No, pues si estuviera ahí, entonces sí, güey, pero no. That's not
Mira,
gonna
todo
happen,
lo
bro.
que
That's
quiero,
not gonna
mira,
happen.
mira, todo
Si
lo
la
que
quieres
quiero
ver,
es
está en
respirarme un
Instagram, güey.
pinche soplado, güey. Nomás uno. No pido nada más, güey. Nomás uno. Que se abran los cachetes y déjame nomás respirar lo
Hey,
más profundo que
you
puedo.
know,
Dude, that remembers Vela when he first came to LAFC and they were giving him the tour of all the top teams, of all the different teams, and he got to go to Dodger Stadium. Was it Dodger? I think it was. And I think it was J-Lo. They were sitting right in front of him, and they just knocked the pig when she happened to get up. I tenía el pedorro right in his face, dude. And I think at that moment, he's like, I make the right choice. He didn't go for Champions League. He wanted this, dude. He wanted to be sitting in the Lakers next to Jack Nicholson, and he
I'm
wanted.
just saying, it would be a
He got
big
it.
morale boost for the boys.
So just to touch on that real quick, so like the market is wide open. Like we're coming out of a very unique situation where a bunch of morros have
Yeah.
had breakout seasons, and it's open season, right? As far
Yeah.
as the market in regards to Mexicans is concerned, and so
there's that Amazon money lying around.
yeah, so Chivas they do have that Amazon money lying around, but they're gonna need a lot more money too if they want to make competitive buys. If they want to like
Yeah.
if they want to go for 4 or 5 guys
No,
that
that's
are
not
quality,
happening. That's
Yes.
not happening.
they would need
They
to
could've-
substitute.
Now,
They've
here's
done
my
it.
deal.
They've
They don't
done it,
have
yeah.
they don't have money to do that. They might have enough for
Tell
like
them, hey,
one.
Get rid of Cheech. Get rid of Cheech.
I don't think he's
No.
going, bro.
Sorry, Cheech. Well,
I don't think he's
Abuelo.
going.
just
Abuelo,
So
hace
there
un
have
been
been
rumors.
rumors.
de que
One
Chivas
at a
no
time,
es la
ladies. One
respuesta.
at a time. Let Rifado talk. He hasn't been talking. Let him talk.
So
like
there have
Michael
been
right now.
rumors of Beltran to Cruz Azul. There have been rumors of Pocho to Pachuca, right? So
Those
like
are trades, though. Those are trades.
exactly, yeah, but
It's
still
not-
like but people are coming in, young people, and then heavy wages are leaving. So like
Yes.
this is freeing up, money, and then you have a big sale in Chiquete, and then you have that Amazon money, and then
Yes.
2 trades, 3 buys, 2 buys of
It's
quality,
todo.
and then you have a competitive run, right? Like in the making with a good
Yeah.
up and coming coach, right? So like that's what I think might happen. Time will tell, though.
I just don't think. To me, it doesn't make sense to like do all these moves while you have a new coach at the helm that might be able to repurpose some of these players. It's like why get rid of some of these players that might have a chance with this new coach?
No, but that's not how Chivas is running. Where it's like the coach come in and the coach builds the team. It's the team builds the club builds the team,
Like if
and then the
I,
coach has to work
dude,
for that team.
if I'm his name's Oscar, I'm like, if I'm Oscar, bro, you tell the fucking front office Chiquete is like a non like that, you can't move that piece, bro. You can move other
He
pieces.
just
So come there's Chivas come one of the things that I've been reading and is that come January 21st, Chivas is going to have, their scouts are going to be able to scout a lot more players. If you know what I mean.
ah, run. Or some will be sent right back to their front yard.
Yep.
So
Yeah. They're
no,
gonna have a
no,
lot more people, a lot more players to scout. A lot
what are the
more.
odds you'll find a Carlos Salcido in that group? I don't.
Another Kate Cowell. You'll find another Kate Cowell in there.
Salcido. I think Salcido tried it and failed. I think he tried crossing the border and
For
got
real?
caught or something like. Yeah. Dude, Salcido was he was a stone throw away from just. He was just gonna be like some dude that was just really good in cascaritas and then playing at the park, at the Sunday Pub League. Yeah, because
I remember they used to have the Chiva tours. Are they still doing those to scout players in the Mexican American?
you know, America copied that way. You know they did the Huila tours. A year later, you see the fucking yellow bus rolling by.
What about
Chivas to some of the cities?
What about Chivas USA? Is Chivas they still is that
no.
head out? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. Okay.
But there was almost a Huila Houston.
It's yeah. I won't say anything anymore.
You can't hate Chivas. That was one step ahead back then. They're just one step ahead. But I think America was smart enough to see like, oh yeah, that's not working. We don't need to do that.
I honestly I see a lot of bullshit. A lot of no, I mean like with all these rumors, I see a lot of bullshit. I see a lot of smoke. I see a lot of people that honestly are Repor fans. They're and I don't take any of them seriously. So until I see some fucking contracts, like I am buying any of this smoke.
Yeah, but I do think all those players' name are the ones that Rifalo mentioned. I do think Chivas does have a good opportunity to bring in 4 or 5 players, and I do think they'll bring in the money because that's the one thing Chivas has been doing lately, where it's like if they can't find a player they want, they just don't buy anyone, and that's part of how they managed to stop the bleeding or get off the red, in which they were for quite a while. But like Rifalo said, if they sell Chiquete, you manage to get rid of some of the other players that aren't working out and have the high wages. I think you do clear up enough to pull that off. And I think it'll be. And I agree with you what you said. If they don't get one of those players that you mentioned, Jaime, it is like a fail.
Absolutely. I was Googling the FIFA World Cup, the Club World Cup that's happening next year, and I actually got another result. I didn't know this was happening tomorrow. The Intercontinental Cup between Pachuca and Botafogo at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I did not know that was happening. Pretty cool. But I did want to talk about the Club World Cup and the draw. We have a couple of teams representing Liga MX. The first one is León. They're going to be in the group with Chelsea, a team from Tunisia, and Flamengo from Brazil. Then we have Monterrey.
Flamenco, güey, con una C dura. Flamenco.
I'm just reading off Wikipedia. My bad. Inter Milan, Monterrey, Red Diamonds from Japan, and River. That will be Monterrey's group. And we also have Pachuca in a group with Real Madrid, Al Halal, and Red Bull Salzburg. I think Liga MX team's got the fucking short end of the stick with this draw. And the most obvious bias is Inter Miami having quite an accessible group. They're in Group A with Al Ali, Porto, and Palmeiras.
Wait, Palmeiras is still a much better team than what you're giving them credit for. They can still very easily bounce out Miami and friends.
We'll see.
Like, honestly, if anything, it's just a true and honest reflection of where it is that Mexicans clubs stand on the world stage. Now we're seeing our clubs outside of fucking CONCACAF Champions Leagues, right? We're seeing ourselves outside of uh, what is it, a Leagues Cup, right? So now we're seeing where it is that we actually stack. And guess what? It's not that fucking high in the totem pole, right? Because if you're scared of a Palmeiras, if you're scared of a Salzburg, like, come on, man. Salzburg is probably the easiest team that you have in your group.
Really? Not the Arab teams?
Who, senor, you don't clearly keep up on the other side. Al Hali is the reason why Al Nasir hasn't been winning everything. They're the reason why fucking Cristiano doesn't like own the entire Middle East. They are undefeated. Like, I think the last time that they lost was 23,
Well,
something like that. They've been
that's
putting in
that's
impressive
nice.
numbers.
That's like being the store manager of, I don't know, McDonald's, dude. It's not that big a deal.
I mean, it might not be a big deal, but there's still a whole lot of fucking shit sippers under you, right?
No, I'm just saying
So
like that league is not very competitive. But go ahead, Rifal.
so the interesting group is Monterrey's group because you have Di Michel with a good Monterrey team in the final, right? And then they're gonna go up against his old team that rolled his ass out. So it gives them like that incentive to fuck these guys up, right? And then they're basically the only competitive team I see here. You know, Pachuca, Leon, they have good pieces here and there, but they're
Yeah.
incomplete. You know, they're a few players away from being truly competitive, which is such a shame because like I would love like the best teams in Mexico to represent us at this stage,
Yeah.
and it sucks that two of them are kind of a bust. But like you know, Monterrey is the only team I see like being competitive, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
Now,
it
hold
it
on.
would have
There's a
been
couple
different
things.
if they had taken place kind of like they do how they used to do it, where it's like you win the Conca Champions and then you play in that tournament that same year. But they've accumulated the winners from the last couple of championships, and in Liga MX, man, like nothing stays the same. These teams are fucking been dismantled, and yeah, Rayados is the only one that might you know be competitive. The other two are gonna get fucking cleaned out.
All right. Now, hold on. Before we go too far into that doom and gloom, let's keep in mind this is still about what, a year away, a year and change away,
No,
right?
it's gonna happen in the summertime.
This summertime that's coming up. So we're about 6 months out, right? Let's call it that way. We're about 6 months out. Pachuca's about to sell Idrisi and a couple more of their players. Leon is about to be sold for new investments to come in because, that's part of the cómo les apretaron los huevos a Grupo Pachuca para que tenga que vender sus equipos, ¿verdad? So le están apretando los huevos. Ya ha dicho el jefe that León is up for sale, right? Out of the two teams that they have to sell, they are selling León. They're selling León as quickly as possible to the best bidder that's out there, right? So if that happens, there's going to be a whole floodgate of money that comes into the club. And if you, because you're already buying a club that is pre-qualified to a Club World Cup, that's where the investment will come in. Now, the other thing is, keep in mind, dude, there's still time for us to buy players, reinforce our teams, get all of this back up and running. And in the worst case scenario, Liga MX does that same thing that they did when we were keep competing in Libertadores and allows for the teams to bolster themselves from within the league. Like there's multiple ways that we can attack this. It's not just doom and gloom or it being done. It's the same thing that we did for Libertadores. We got creative, we cobbled teams together, and we went to compete.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
About
They
what?
didn't. They didn't get together. When there were opportunities to fuck over one of the other League MX teams, they did it. America got
Well,
fucked over
yeah,
by other.
that's
No,
classic
and it,
Mexico. And if you're
so
talking about
and
America,
it,
of course, everyone's gonna try to fuck over
and it is
America.
going to be fucking doom and gloom because you think America, the fucking League MX teams couldn't do shit in League's Cup. You think they're going to do shit? You think they're going to do better when you have actually better talent? When you have the Real Madrids and Chelseas and shit like that? Which I don't think they're going to take it as serious
No,
as
it's
you
a
know.
it's a summer tournament, so it's not like
So
yeah.
So I mean, America wanted
Hold
an
on,
extra
it's
day.
not just that. It's a summer tournament while there's FIFA dates in the US. There's a lot of things that's going to be happening where these rosters aren't coming in with their full squads.
You think players are
Uh,
going to be happy about like finally there's no international competition, because they did the Euros, did Copa America last year. So there's not going to be like any aside from CONCACAF maybe. Like finally the players get like a summer off. JK, you got to go to this Club World Cup. You really think they're going to be happy about that? They're not going to fucking care.
Look, I'm going to give you a simple one. Shut up and dance, Jigaboo. Here's your fucking money. Do your fucking dance. Shut the fuck up. All right. I'm still paying you multi millions of dollars for you to get on a fucking plane, go through first class accommodations, and play a fucking game. It is an official tournament. We have to play this. Now, whether or not you get caught up to an international match, cool, you get to go. Whether or not we're gonna, put in some B squad players, a couple C squads sprinkled in, sure, that's what's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, you're getting paid a lot of fucking money to play a game. So once again, shut up and dance, Jigaboo.
the UEFA teams don't give a the UEFA teams don't give a shit about this. The UEFA teams don't give a shit. The Asian teams maybe, the fucking the CONCACAF teams maybe, but it's not gonna it's not. I don't think any team I don't think any team from the Americas are gonna win it. I think it's gonna be one of the European teams, but the European teams will take it serious once it starts getting
Yeah.
into into the knockout stages with the European teams. That's when they'll take it serious.
They can go at half speed in the group stage and still like get through, which is
Do
pretty.
you really think they can do that against Libertadores teams?
Yeah,
Because
bro.
let's
Come
keep in
on.
mind, hold on. Let's keep in mind when it was the traditional Club World Cup, it was always Libertadores teams versus the Euro
Yeah,
teams,
but again,
echando putazos for the final.
you're failing to factor in the fact that some of these clubs qualified like 2 or 3 years ago, and they're not that same club that will be competing 6 months from now.
And you're failing to recognize that a lot of the times where these Club World Cups used to take place was in the off season of South American soccer. So these teams are
No,
already going out
it was
there.
always around this time of the
No,
year.
it was always in December.
Yeah, it was always like right about now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where are they in their catalog, in their yearly calendar?
What are you talking about, bro?
It was not in it was
Libertadores
not in
has
the
just
summer.
finished. There's no more action. There's really
No,
nothing happening down
no,
south.
no, because you had South America. Okay, so here's the thing: the winter break wasn't that long for the Argentines and the Brazilian teams either. It was a winter break. It was kind of like Liga MX. It was just a very short break and stuff like that. We're not talking about the 2-3 months off during the winter, during the summer. But again, South American teams, they had Copa Libertadores in one, during one season, and then they had the Copa Libertadores, Sudamericana, and the other. So, I mean, the teams for South America, for whether it be Brazil or Argentina and stuff like that, when they would play the traditional, what is it, the World Club, whatever, when they would go to Japan or they'd go somewhere in the Middle East and stuff like that, their teams pretty much would be the same team that got them the berth to even be there. Not so much the case with the Liga MX teams from CONCACAF. From one year to another. So I mean, sometimes it would be a completely different team, or half of the team was still intact.
I just googled
Look,
like the Argentinian league; they're still playing, and the Brazilian league they just won their championship like this week. So
the Brazilian league's a little different because you have the state championships, and then you have the Serie A, the like, which is the national one. But they have like the Serie A, the Serie B, and stuff like that, which is like the national the national team where there's relegation and promotion, and you go from like La Liga Carioca, La Liga de Bajío, the Liga whatever, So their system is really fucked up. Well, I wouldn't say fucked up, but it's just that's how they've been doing it for many years. Um, where like what is it, the Liga Paulista and the Liga Carioca, which were the two strongest ones, the one from Rio and the one from what's the other one from Rio de Janeiro, and the other one from I forget, but
Sao Paulo,
the Sao Paulo ones, right?
well, Paulinho, I think they call it. But what was I going to say? The thing about that league, that structure that I love, is that it allows you to cultivate development from the ground up. You have the Paulinho Cup, or the Paulo Cup, whatever it's called. Like you have like Serie C teams playing Serie A teams, right? And they're like really competing for this domestic cup. And so that the development in the Brazil league is actually right now, I think, at a generational high. They've been dominating Libertadores. I wouldn't count a Brazilian team making a deep run, possibly even winning this whole thing. Yeah, they someone like Botafogo might be picked apart, but like they can just buy and rebuild.
Yeah. So no, like I said, I still think that the Euro teams are going to win it. But you're right. The top Argentine and the top Brazilian teams. I mean, obviously, they could be strong contenders as well. But I don't see CONCACAF doing anything special. Whether it's an MLS or whether it's a Liga MX, I just don't think that they've put themselves in tough competition.
I was also looking at Rayados. They're going to be spread pretty thin because they're also competing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Yep.
So that is a tournament that's going to be played the month before in May, and then you also have Liga MX. So who knows?
Notice how they put basically in the CONCACAF. So they basically want America and Chivas pretty much close. Yeah, I think if Chivas advances out of the round of 16th, they'll face America in the quarters. So
it's actually round of 16. So round one, Chivas will be playing against Cibao, and then the winner of that will play America in the round of 16.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I was looking at the CONCACAF, the berth and the playoff seeds and all that type of stuff, and it's like Liga MX got 6 teams. All in all, MLS, I think they got 9 or 10. And I'm like to myself, I'm like, you know what? I should be mad, but I'm not. I mean, it's like for me, if Liga MX just provided 2 fucking champions, go for it. Go, have fun. But those fucking teams need to get back into fucking CONMEBOL.
It's called Campeonato Paulista. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because part of me, and I say this an Americanista here, part of me, I'm seeing right now with the America, just being, playing well, winning all, these championships, in these past couple of years. It's like I really would have liked to see America basically play the Sudamericana or in the Libertadores. Because I mean, I saw what they were able to do back in the early 2000s and late 2000s when they were reaching, when they were constantly knocking on the door, of the Sudamericana and the Libertadores, reaching the semifinals, many times, reaching the finals of the Sudamericana and stuff like that. So for me, I would love for this America, this generation of team, basically, playing against South America's best. As much as as much as I would have liked America to even play in this new FIFA whatever stuff like that. I mean, I know deep down I know that I remember a friend of mine this was when I studied abroad that year in Mexico. It was in '99 when they tried to do that. They tried to do that World Feet Club thing, where Necaxa played Manchester United and they played Real Madrid, and everybody expected Necaxa to just basically shit the bed, and they ended up doing fairly well, placing third. They beat Real Madrid, and I think they tied Manchester or whatever. I don't remember all the details and stuff like that. But I mean, I remember
They
that.
did tie it. I think Beckham
Yeah.
scores the tying goal.
So I mean, I remember that. It's like as much as like at first the next. I had friends that were from. Trust me, they do exist. But the next Akisa fans were basically, they were happy, but they knew in their heart of hearts that it didn't really mean anything because it's not like Real Madrid or Manchester
We're
United
taking it
really gave a
serious.
Yeah, but
shit.
there were
Yeah.
still official games, and that
No, I get
Necaxa
that. No,
wasn't the like the at its like
no,
there
I'm not
wasn't like the
knocking.
strong Necaxa. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they still had
No,
Aguinaga, but it wasn't.
no, no. I get that. I'm not knocking. I'm not. I did catch one of their games. I didn't watch the entire tournament, but like I said, I understand the sentiment that some of the Necaxa fans had. It's like, hey, we did well. We didn't fucking shit the bed. We played against two of the best, in the world, but it's not like you were playing their best. It's like in that Rocky, what was it, the Rocky movie? There was it one or two, where no, Rocky two, where he fucking goes into the hospital and he fucking knocks on the door and it's a fucking Apollo Creed, and Rocky goes, "Hey, did you give me your best?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." It's one of those. It's like I'd
I
rather
don't
I'd
know,
rather
Ron. I
I'd
don't.
I'd
I don't know about
I'd
that.
rather have America play in the fucking Libertadores and the Sudamericana because you're getting their fucking
Oh
best.
yeah,
It's not
no,
like
but
you're fucking one.
Yeah.
It's not like you're wondering. It's not like you're fucking wondering. Am I getting Chelsea's best?
but
Am I
Yeah.
but,
fucking getting Real Madrid's best?
but
Am I
you
getting
know
Man
what?
City's best?
It was
I
during
will
the
say
summer.
though,
It was during the summer. It was hot as balls, and the Euro teams they can't hang in
Yeah.
that type of weather, and
yeah.
so that's
One thing I'd like to add though, I will say in recent times, with Tigres making the Club World Cup final against Bayern Munich took that game very serious, and they were very close from losing it. And the reason why they took that very serious is because I think it was like their most like successful year. They had won literally like every single tournament they signed up for that year. And I remember
Well,
mentioning it because they had like a little like documentary, and they were showing the players after the game from Bayern, and they were just yelling at each other and scolding each other for the fact that they almost lost that game. Like they were unhappy with their performance, even though they won the championship. So I know at least in 2021 they took that tournament pretty serious.
well, it's funny you mentioned Bayern Munich because in 2000, 2001, there were rumors. There were rumors that if Cruz Azul beat Boca Juniors in the finals of the Libertadores, that Conmebol was not going to send Cruz Azul. They were going to send,
yes,
Yep.
Boca Juniors, and Bayern
yeah,
Munich. They put out a statement saying, "We want the winner of the Libertadores. We don't care who it is."
Damn.
yeah. I remember that.
I remember that,
I
right?
think
Because
that,
they're not
that
from that federation, so it was not.
to add,
Yeah,
yeah, to add to Abdias to kick
So,
him
but
while
but
he's
like I
down.
said, but like I
I
said,
feel that. Well, just real quick, Ron. I felt that they were robbed there in that final. I think we should have won against Boca.
hold on. What are you, like a Salvadorian now?
I didn't say we. No, I didn't say we. When did I say
Hold on,
we?
hold on, hold on. I've always
When
said
did I say
this,
we?
right? Cuando hay pendejos aquí que siempre están diciendo, no, güey, que tenemos que regresar a Libertadores y que quién sabe qué esto y aquello, lo otro, güey, acuérdate, México en Libertadores es sapo de otro pozo. They don't want us there. They change the rules. They do funny things
No, no, no,
in
no, no,
order
no.
to keep us
Not
from winning.
everyone, though.
No,
Not
wait a minute.
everyone.
Wait a
They
minute. Wait a
always
minute.
fucking do
Wait a
these
minute.
things,
Wait a
right?
minute.
We're
Wait a minute.
always
No, no,
playing
no.
on a tilted
Oh,
field.
wait
Pero
a
no,
minute.
way.
No,
But we
know your story. Know
romanticize the
your history.
competition and we do
No,
all of these things
no,
and we
no.
forget about it. About the
Wait a
fact
minute.
that we are the unwanted guests at that competition
No, no, no,
every
no, no, no,
single
no, no,
time.
no.
Where?
Same thing with
Wait.
Where? They're
Copa
begging for
America.
Mexico to come back.
Hey. Speak. Yeah. You know what you're talking about. 2001, that was the case because at that time
Yeah,
you still had the promoters paying the Venezuelan federations to play in
yeah,
the because back then
for their stats.
they were still playing because I was attending those games. And for example, when they were playing at my alma mater at the University of Houston, they were playing the Copa Sears Pre Libertadores just to play the Venezuelan teams in the Pre Libertadores. But 2004 it was the game changer because that was the first year they did the Interliga, and that's when Fox Sports got involved, and that's when the fucking South Americans said, you know what, no, never
Oh,
mind, we want these guys, and
and
then
Santander too.
and then they changed it. They said rather than having we want two Mexican teams there for sure, we want a chance of a third one. So they did. So they did. So they did. So they wanted three of them, and you had guys. What was it? Banco Santander
Yeah,
or Bridgestone? I don't
Firestone.
remember. But you
Yeah,
had one of the
Firestone. Yeah.
you had those one of those executives basically
No, that was
say the
Santander.
only
That was
was
Santander.
it Santander? He said the
Yeah,
only reason
yeah,
we're basically doing this is because of the Mexican market, because we have the Mexicans in the U.S. and we have the Mexican over 130 million or 120 million
yeah.
Mexicans in Mexico. So no, they
Ah,
fucking wanted
entonces
the
espérame,
Mexicans.
güey. Me
Man,
estás
there's a
diciendo
big
que un
difference
montón de
between wanting
pinches
your
muertos.
money and wanting you
What's
to
that?
win. That's like when
No,
in high school you
no,
like the
no.
nerds bring the
What?
technology
No,
to do the
no, no, no. What I'm
setup, the music,
no, 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 no.
speakers, bring the booze, but you're not gonna give the cheerleaders to them. So,
Hey, we're not talking.
No,
We're talking two different eras, dude.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right. But prior to the Interliga, they were always pulling shenanigans on the Liga MX teams.
yeah.
Like for example, where they didn't want when Santos was reached the later rounds, they didn't want to play in the old Corona Stadium, and they were giving this bullshit excuse
And
about
I
the
having
lights.
lights.
They did that. They
Yeah,
did that to Toluca as well. They were even talking about the stadium is not apt for an international match. But
oh,
then
yeah.
Televisa did a fucking story, and they went to Chile, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Cobreloa or
Like a
something like that,
wooden,
and
like
they
a
fucking
wooden.
recorded their stadium, and it was wooden terraces, dude. So trust me, I'm well aware of all this
Wait,
shit. Okay,
wait,
I have a fucking photographic memory.
Entonces espérame, güey.
just,
Espérame. Me estás
wait, just
diciendo
to
que
add to this.
Dale, güey. Dale, pero ahorita
Well,
tú
just
me.
really
No, but
quick.
but but no,
No,
no, no, no.
okay,
But
there was
you
federations within CONMEBOL that did not want Mexico, and these are the smaller ones because it's basically that's the vitrina, that's the showcase for their players. So if you have these Mexican teams coming in, and by this point, when we're going back to then, a lot of these Mexican clubs they were filled with South American internationals, so they knew they were going to get their asses handed to them. And I'm talking about like the lower teams, the Bolivians, the Ecuadorians, the Venezuelans, where, you know, where they know it's like, well, our chances of getting out of the group stage are now, pretty slim. And so, like, being able to showcase our players to sell is going to be that much more difficult. So a lot of those teams would vote against or didn't want. I remember the Brazilians, they was being pro Mex and welcoming the competition and being like, we'll rather play one of these teams than, get a 10-0 win over whatever
the
Venezuelan club.
the Mercosur team, that basically faction of basically Chile, I'm sorry, Chile, Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina. They wanted the Mexican teams because they knew that there
Yeah,
was more money in the TV. Now,
yeah,
again, 2004 is the before and after of basically Comebol, basically doing the dirty, the dark arts, and then but the thing about it is even the others, the Merco Norte, faction, they fucking woke up and they realized, I was like, wait a minute, this is actually advantageous to us because they started to see that as the Mexican teams started to basically play in both the Sudamericana and they started to play in the Libertadores, Mexican teams would use that also to basically scout their players and basically sign players, like for example, I'll give you a
yeah.
perfect example. What's his name? America signed what's his name? Frankie Oviedo. When
Oh,
America
really good player.
played them in the Libertadores.
The Colombians.
He was with America de Cali, and stuff like that. So like I'm saying, even the team, the federations that at first did not want the Liga MX teams, they started to,
Yeah.
they woke up and they started to see, wait a minute, we can sell our players to the fucking Mexican market.
Entonces,
and the
espérame,
other
güey. Me
thing,
estás diciendo que un montón de pinches muertos de hambres, un montón de pinches sudacas, todo lo que querían era nuestro dinero. Pues no, güey, no mames.
Well,
no,
at first,
tampoco.
Un
no.
mercado, espérate, güey, un mercado que tiene un chingo de influx
But
de
their
dinero,
pride
de
gets in the way,
greenbacks
though. They got
coming
But
pride.
in.
no,
Yeah.
wait,
Le
wait,
vas
wait.
a decir que no nos quieren, güey. Y luego, espérate, güey, una vez que tienen
That
nuestro
makes the
dinero,
competition
¿no
better,
nos van a
right?
sobar la pinche concha y partirnos la madre como le hicieron a la América? ¿O no te acuerdas de eso?
Look, what I remember is when they did.
Dude, if you're gonna talk about something, know what you're talking about. Don't
What
don't
happened
go,
to
don't talk
America?
about
Yeah.
feelings
What
and stuff
happened
like
to
that.
America when they were playing in
What's that?
Sudamérica?
No, but you can't
They
say
reached
that
the-
they
they
don't
reached
want
the
Mexican
Cambiaron el
clubs.
reglamento.
When throughout the years they ended up adding more clubs to the competition.
They reached the finals. They didn't
Yeah,
fucking lose
and then
because
what
of
happened?
Conmebol.
And then what happened at that
And
final? What
they
happened
lost.
at halftime? Why did
They
they lose?
lost. No. They lost because of fucking Davino. Okay.
What happened at halftime? No, güey,
they
no,
lost.
pero dime.
No, they
Dime,
lost.
güey,
They
¿qué
lost.
pasó al puto
They
medio
lost because of
tiempo?
no. They lost because of Davino.
Ah, no, güey, no, pero
No,
nomás
no, no,
de
no, no.
repente,
I'm not.
nomás de repente cambian el reglamento y el
No,
gol de
I'm not.
visitante cuenta. Pero no, güey, ¿verdad? No,
No,
es tu propia historia y tú la perdiste,
no,
güey, no la
no,
quieres contar.
no, 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 no,
Te
no, 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 no.
sobaron la
I'm not a
concha
fucking.
y fue lo que
Hey,
pasó.
I'm not a Cruz Azul fan. I'm not blaming the fucking refs here, bud. America
Entonces eres
had
un
that fucking
pendejo
game.
si no quieres admitir que cuando
America,
vas allá
America
te
had the
meten la
fucking
pita.
game. America had the fucking game. Same as when fucking America fucked it up against Boca Juniors in 2000. They had the fucking game and they lost it in the fucking last minutes when they didn't fucking mark Samuel. So I don't give a fuck a little shenanigans that the Conmebol officials may or may have not have done. America had fucking 90 minutes or had 180 minutes. They didn't fucking produce. I can fucking own up to that.
Therefore,
Yeah.
they don't understand que eres un sapo de otro pozo
No,
and they
no,
don't
no, no,
want
no,
you
no.
there.
No.
You don't understand when you are the unwelcomed guest and
no.
when they tilt the table against
Ahí
you.
es donde sacas la pinche casta, pendejo. Through fucking adversity. If you always fucking bitch at it, you're never gonna fucking, you're never going to adapt and fucking, that's how you fucking become a fucking man. It's through fucking adversity, not fucking walking away. You fucking handle it. And that's why I fucking loved the fucking Mexican teams that would go to fucking the Peñarol Stadium. They would go to Nacional. They would fucking go to Flamengo. They would fucking learn how to play in fucking hostile environments. That's how you fucking get better.
It's not finding excuses. It's called recognizing it. When you recognize it and you know what happened, then you can tell an adequate story. You love to tell stories from the past, but you don't fucking tell the full story now, do you?
Things did happen.
I'm telling the full story. I'm telling the full story. You don't even know the story. I'm telling the fucking story. You don't know about, oh, they don't want us, they treat us bad.
Yeah.
What's this fucking victim mentality? Who gives a fuck? In fact, that's so much better when you beat them and you know they tried to fuck you over. Like when America fucking went to Flamengo and beat them fucking 3-0. I still remember, and I was laughing my ass off when that fucking Brazilian goalkeeper, they asked him, what happened? He's like, and he starts fucking crying. And he's fucking crying on national TV. You know how fucking satisfying? You know how satisfying that was?
Oh,
you know?
Yes.
It's like, come on, dude. If you're gonna talk about something, fucking know what you're talking about, because it's obvious that you don't.
You know, there was a lot of bullshit like that. There's no denying that. But at the same time, they had to concede. No, I'm saying
you're not denying it. It's what the fuck you're saying.
So hold on. Hold on. Did I not mention the thing with Cobreloa?
Espérate.
Hold on. Did I not mention?
Meses, güey, y luego regresas aquí con los huevos bien hinchados, tratando de decirnos qué pedo. No mames, güey. Vete a chupar verga donde has estado por los últimos 3 meses.
Did I not mention Cobreloa? Did I not mention Santos Laguna? Did I not mention all these little things that they tried to do?
Yeah.
No, I acknowledged them. I didn't deny him, but that's still not the fucking reason to say, oh, no, never mind, I'm not going to play. No, you fucking work through the goddamn adversity.
Because they did, that's basically what happened to Chivas. They did them dirty during the Fiebre Porcina. They eliminate them. They eliminate them like that. And that's when Liga MX was threatened to, they say, well, okay, we're leaving the tournament. And then Conmebol bent the knee and then say, all right, Chivas qualifies to the next tournament. They basically gave us an extra slot and put Chivas up in the playoffs, and that's when Chivas ends up making the final. Um, but I said as the longer the Mex teams were there, the more that Conmebol was bending the knee and just allowing more teams to participate. And it's to the point where they've been like basically pleading for them to return. So
Of
I
course.
think a lot has changed. But yeah, there was a lot of that, and obviously because of the money, because it's like Boca not playing that cup is means money they lost, stuff like that. But I think once you're at the negotiating table, I think Liga MX has enough experience now to
Dude,
make better demands.
not well. They can make better demands, in terms of money because I mean, like you said, the
Well,
fucking
yeah,
Commonwealth president has repeatedly said
yeah,
that they want Liga MX back, and it's not because of them. It's because of the fucking Liga MX and their calendar. So I mean, that's let's make that very very clear. But even if they were to roll the red carpet, I'm not fucking naive. I know that Comebol is going to look for Comebol interest. But that's where
yeah.
that's where Liga MX. Uh, and when I say Liga MX, I say Liga MX, not fucking Concacaf. Need to look out for Liga MX's best interest.
Well, and I'm sure they know that if they bring mixed teams in the U.S. market, their tournaments now competing and even besting Champions League for ratings.
What's that?
If Liga MX was to return to Libertadores in the U.S., that Libertadores would be getting better ratings than Champions League games.
Well, if you recall
And I'm not
if
talking about like the big Champions League like Real Madrid versus Man U, but because you have a lot of games. I'm talking about
you,
your Irish group game.
the Interliga and the Copa Libertadores back in the day, and and when I say back in the day, even as far as back as 2015, when the last year, or 2016, the last year that they participated, the games with Liga MX were some of the highest rated
Yeah.
games for
But
that
yeah,
network.
with Liga MX is, like they're consistently the Liga MX on the ratings, it's among the highest for
Yeah.
soccer here in the US.
Well, boys, we're at the 2 hour
Yeah.
mark. Want to put a bow tie on this episode, but I love the anger. I love the energy. We have a great final ahead of us on Thursday, and wanted to know who will be your 2024 champion.
I'll go first, gents. I think it's a coin toss for me. It's a coin toss. Could go either way.
You love sitting on that fence.
Hold on. Is this closing thoughts or is this just
Yes.
predictions? What are
Closing
we?
closing thoughts
Oh,
plus your prediction.
Ooh, espérate, wait. For closing thoughts, let me give you this one. All right, really quickly. We haven't talked about it. It hasn't been addressed. Last time that we were here, I talked a little bit more. I talked a little bit about the Apollo Fund, how it is that things are being split up. As of right now, the news is that if the Apollo Fund is accepted across the board, there will also be a North American investment group that will be taking over Querétaro. Remember how we've been trying to sell Querétaro for the last couple of years, ever since there was esos putazos at the stadium?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this investment firm will take over Querétaro as long as it's approved. They will have control of one team out of the 18, and it will be Querétaro, Gallos Blancos. So that's a little fun fact to see, but we will find out whether or not the fund is fully approved on Friday. That is when we'll be getting those last bits of information. So keep your ears on the ground. Something very important, very interesting is happening in Liga MX, and there should be news coming out on Friday regarding that. Once again, Apollo Fund. It's a North American investment group. They're coming in. They're trying to help out Liga MX for it to grow. Now, speaking about the upcoming final and things like that, there's been this great set of memes circling Mexican Twitter about how if you're a Tigres fan and you're supporting Rayados at this moment, you're not a Tigres fan.
Hmm.
You're no longer welcome to this fan. ¿Sabes qué, güey? Te voy a meter dos putos putas. No, güey, ni putazos, güey. Dos putos pinches plomazos al pecho por decir que quieres que gane Rayados. ¿Y sabes qué, güey? Yo acepto esa energía, ay, güey, ese sentir en tu ser. Que si, güey, si yo como Cruz Azulino digo que quiero que gane el América, no mames, güey, mejor me mato antes que eso. Entonces, ¿quién quiero que gane? Quiero que gane los pendejos que dicen que las estrellas de CONCACAF Champions brillan más destallantes que todas las demás. Si sabes quiénes son los putos del norte. Ahí está.
Okay. Thank you, Abdias, for being a good sport and showing face today after a painful elimination in Liguilla.
Miren, putos, yo les he dicho una y otra vez, I'm here for the shits. I talk it, I back it up, I don't hide. In the good times and in the bad times. Venimos a la cantina y echamos desmadre.
A mamarla, cabrón.
Ron, what's your
Y
closing
la
thoughts?
tuya también, puto.
My prediction?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, man. It's just there's been so much winning as of late. I don't know. I really don't know. I have a feeling America will pull through. I have a feeling.
Damn.
That's my and the reason why, because like I said, it's America's playing 2 away games, and when teams basically are forced to open up and stuff like that, America tends to be more dangerous, you know. And that's kind of like I'm going to stick with that one because that's been a trend that I've seen for not just now in the present but even in the past, where I think it's kind of like one of those things where, like with Mexico, when they would play against more better opposition, they would basically shine because when you play against a Brazil, when you play against those type of teams, they obviously they open up because they want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But when they play against like the fucking El Salvadors and the fucking Guatemalas and stuff like that, or the fucking teams from the Caribbean, it's like, how the fuck are they playing so shitty? And well, sometimes it's because when a team parks the bus, or they're basically just playing they're in a hermit state. Sometimes it's just hard to fucking score and play. So that's kind of like the only advantage that I kind of see going right now for America. I mean, if they're able to maintain order and play, and basically balance out. And I was, in the Cruz Azul in the final game and stuff like that. My biggest concern was I was hoping that once America scored that first goal, I was just praying like, please don't sit back, please don't sit back. I was happy that they were going and going and going for more goals. Obviously, sometimes they would press higher, other times they would sit back. But overall, I didn't see it until the very, very end, which is normal. That Jardine would basically, I wouldn't say park the bus, but he basically had just about everybody on their side of the field, trying to basically withstand weather the storm. Um, so that's my prediction. I think America is going to pull it off, and I guess closing thought is, like I told you, Chi Hermanos, if America wins the 3 campeonatos, I'm going to start becoming a Chiva fan. I just think that's too much. It's going to be too much, And finally, you guys can let me into the Chiva chat room so we can talk.
What's the wait, how many titles you guys have now? I lost count. 14? 13?
What's that?
How many titles? What's the gap?
So what is it? I mean, I count the ones from the 1924, 25, 26, because those are official, recognized by the Federation and recognized by FIFA.
So Prode.
Prode is official. Cruz Azul played it, Chivas played it, So that was another 3 campeonato, by the way.
Mira, todo lo que voy a decir es, está bueno, güey, está bueno. Acepto que eres mamador, acepto todo esto y lo único que voy a decir es, ¿sabes qué, güey? si el América gana el tricampeonato, es un equipo de época. Y eso es todo lo que
They
voy a
already
decir.
are, dude.
You know what? We're going to talk more about this at the end of the tournament, and then we'll have this conversation again. All right? Porque no te preocupes, güey. Ha habido dos bicampeones en los últimos 2 años. So if that's what you want to call an equipo de época, no hay pedo, güey. También es Atlas.
No, but here's the thing though. There's a world of difference. A world of difference how Atlas became a bicampeón and how America became a bicampeón. Keep in mind this.
So ahora
No, no,
queremos
no.
hablar de las
No, I'm not.
formas,
Hey,
queremos
no, no,
hablar
no,
del
no, no, no,
arbitraje,
no. I'm
queremos
not. No,
hablar de eso y el otro. Pero
I'm
no,
not
¿qué
knocking.
pasó
Hey,
con adversity?
no,
Y
no,
que
no, no, no.
quién
I'm
sabe
not knocking.
qué,
I'm not
y los
knocking.
huevos hinchados y todo y aquello.
I'm
¿Qué
not
pasó?
knocking their. It's valid. Whether you park the bus and you win on fucking one corner, it's valid. It may suck, but what was the criticism with what's his name? Diego Coca with Mexico. A lot of the people didn't even want him to be the coach because he was a pinche canchero, dude. He just they played shit football. It's not just me saying this, dude. This
And
was
don't forget his nationalism. His nationalism had a big fucking deal with it. And if you're trying to gloss over it, no mames, güey, eres amarillista.
No. I'm saying is that it's like, did you ever the movie with what's the name about Brian Clough with his short stint in Leeds, where he goes in there and he basically just talks shit about how the team that would win with what's his name Don Revy in the Leeds back in the 70s and shit like that. And it's like, he goes in there and he starts talking shit to the players. It's like, if you want to win like real champions, not fucking bush league fucking the way you guys were winning, that rubbed people the wrong way. But there's a reason why people recognize Brian Clough as a genius, and and he was more offensive minded and stuff like that because his teams played better. It's no denying. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but to the fucking average fan, Atlas, the teams that won the championship, they were fucking boring as shit. Practical, yeah. Boring, yeah. Were they offensive? Not really.
I just think you're salty that your team left 3 points on the table because of a tactical lineup that your team fucked up, and that's what gave them the championship.
It is what it is,
dude.
That's
Atlas's bicampeonato was so Atlas's bicampeonato was so forgettable. I fucking forgot they won 2 in a row, dude. I'm like, wait, they did, huh? Shit, I forgot about that.
And you know what? Hold on. Really quickly. The reason why you forget about that is because how hard of a crash they had following it up, which is the same thing that America had, except for the fact that they started sniffing their own farts at the tail end of things, and they picked up that momentum.
I'm just saying, you don't have to go back 15 years, 20 years. You can just go back a couple of years. Look at the headlines and stuff like that. Look at what the pundits were saying about Coca. Look at what the pundits were saying about Atlas, the way they played, the way how they won their titles and stuff like that. This is recent history, brother.
Wait, who's going that far back? You're the ones who loves remembering recuerdos en blanco y negro y memorias del año viejo. No mames, güey. Tú eres el problema.
I'm saying this. There's a world of difference in how America won their bicampeonato and how Atlas won their bicampeonato. And Jaime's even saying it. Jaime's even saying it. Ya es un equipo de época. That's him saying that. That's not me saying it. And then
sí, güey,
Twitter,
porque es un equipo de época, porque te has ganado un bicampeonato en la temporada corta. Ahora, aquí está el pedo, güey. ¿Sabes cuándo van a ser un equipo de época y cuándo van a ser reconocidos como tal? Cuando cambiemos y nos vayamos to a long season format once again. Once
why are we even talking about this, bro? It's not gonna happen.
What's gonna happen. Because you mean to tell me that a team winning 3 fucking championships in a row isn't an indictment on the league itself and the level of competition that's happening?
So if you want to use that logic, use that logic, was
you
the
mean
Mexican
regular fucking logic that a team who has performed consistently for a year and a half has won 3 championships? No mames, wait. Anywhere else in the world, a team that performs consistently for a year and a half wins one championship, maybe a cup, maybe two cups if you're lucky. Two cups and a league championship, not three. That itself is an indictment on the league.
So, how many finals has America reached in 24 years since the 2000s?
Wait, no mames. If we're gonna have the same conversation, how many finals has Cruz Azul reached? How many times have we been líder general? On en campeonato de puntos, how many times should we have won? No mames, güey. If you want to have this conversation, Cruz Azul te ha pintado la pinche cara para arriba y para abajo.
Not true, brother. Not true. America leads in everything. It leads in titles, in points, in superlideratos. You know, and as much as you want to, and don't get me wrong, I remember the long season format. Okay, I remember the long season. I remember the long season format. There were some pros, there were some advantages of playing the long season, but there were also some major disadvantages. Just like vice versa with the short season. The short season is that it's basically more difficult to keep teams together, but the league has become the league has become more offensive by nature and by design. And I also equate that the short season or the long season ended in the mid 90s, basically around 96, 95, 95, 96 was the last season. You basically had Mexico's, and that success from the league translated success into the national team, and you started to have Mexico's best years in that mid 90s to early 2000s and stuff like that. Where they were reaching the semifinals of the Copa Libertadores and stuff like that. So I have no preference. I have no preference whether it's long season or short season. I really don't care.
Alrighty, Rifado.
Go ahead.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. My closing thoughts. So, wanted to give a quick shout out to Raul, who's got 5 goals, 2 assists this season in the Prem League, and just scored a beautiful goal against Arsenal for Fulham. The guy, we all counted him out about a year ago. What a comeback. So, just wanted to do a quick shout out for that guy. And then, as for my predictions, it's a hard one. I said it's a toss up. Joel said it's a toss up, and it's because the best players in the league can be found, at least on paper, it can be found for Rayados. Canales. He's probably the best player in the whole league. Then you have Ocampos. Then you have Oliver Torres. Oliver Torres has kind of been not that great. He's kind of been a little bit of a bench player. But he's really found his form these last 3 to 4 games. So these 3 extranjeros from Spain, they were all playing in like Sevilla and then Betis. So yeah, all of them in Seville. They can really do some damage. But I think if I had to choose one, it would be America, and it's not because they have the better players, maybe overall by a little bit, but I think it's because of the masterclass. What's it called? The Jardine. I think he knows when to fold them, and when to play him. And I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna get the tricampeón. As much as I don't want that to happen, and I am hoping that they lose. I have a feeling that they're gonna pull through. I think he's the better coach. I think he's the best coach. This is a guy who won gold with Brazil. This is a guy who took Atlético San Luis from like being a bottom feeder in this league to a competitive team in this league. It was after his showings with San Luis that America decided to buy him. And I think he's probably the best coach of this generation. Bar Tuca. Tuca. If he wins this, I think he tops Tuca.
Wow.
Yeah, those are my closing thoughts. Thanks for having me, and everyone have a good night.
Oh, go ahead, Ron. You had something to add to that? Accidentally muted everybody.
No, I said good night to Rifado.
Oh, okay. Closing thoughts. The fact that America's in the final, just give them the fucking title, man. I don't see this going any other way. I know that they're on the brink of history. I've never seen a team win 3 in a row in the short season. So, like, history is upon us. And Rayados, on paper, should have everything to win this. They've been scoring a lot of great goals, but then there's also that weird side of them where they choke. I know they don't have Tano Ortiz as coach anymore, so you can eliminate that. But yeah, it's dark times for Chivas fans. And the part that sucks most about this is Amari's not going to do a fucking thing about it. He's going to continue to take money into his pocket and dismantle Chivas. And yeah, it's not even, I'm sure for America, it's not even fun anymore because there's no rivalry with Chivas anymore. They're having to look elsewhere to see those fights. And yeah, it's dark times for Chivas fans, but it's been a great year. We will make sure to create another episode to wrap up this season, but it's been a lot of laughs, a lot of shit talking, and we appreciate everyone's support. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.